Millah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'da, in the name of Allah. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hate ads, welcome back. I said welcome back. I said welcome back. To the Feachaz, I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a hella haters up in here. And we are in the third part of our series with the occult connection to a white supremacy beneath the surface. This, if you've been following the first two lives, then you know this is an epic series, absolutely epic. It's epic. You don't believe that? You better ask somebody. Okay, brother Abdullah the Luxy, he'll be with us shortly. As you know, he's making salat there in Saudi Arabia. He's praying Fajr, and as soon as he hops in, we will be all good to go, inshallah. But just to recap, some of the things that we were talking about in the last couple of series, we're mentioning about whatchamacallit, the oh my gosh, why my memory? I'm getting old, family. 1 second, y'all. Let me just go check this thing here real quick. 1 second, y'all. But we were talking about these particular books written by, oh my gosh, I'm so it's late. It's late. It's late, y'all, and I'm old, y'all, and my memory's going, y'all. I need some, as a brother suggests, I need some ginkgo biloba, right? But anyways, the point is good. Just trust me on this one. If you haven't checked out the first and second lives yet, you definitely want to check those out, and you definitely want to share them. And as well as in terms of this year, in terms of the direction of the channel as well, we will be talking about some different topics as well, because as you know, 2025 we predicted is going to be outrageously crazy, and we need to cover some new stuff. So I was looking at global economics, of course, and I think getting into this, the spiritual aspect in terms of white supremacy, I think that's a really good idea. It, like, as Nuri was saying here, Abdullah Luxy was cooking last time. Yeah, he absolutely was. He was really cooking last time, right? So we want to say Salaam Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Sister Tika. I want to say Salaam Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Musa the Gamer. And he is saying, yes, indeed, it's epic. I had to watch the previous two at least twice. At least twice. I'm gonna put the link in the chat until Abdullah Luxy gets here, or if anybody wants to hop in before he gets here and make some comments. 1 second, y'all. Let me just get this for you. Okay, so I hit the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, so links in the chat if anybody wants to hop on before Abdullah gets here. Okay. Let's see what Musa the Gamer got. He says, I came across the esotericism and the cult Sufi orders. One such name was Ahmed al-Buni. I had to stop after that. It was getting too dark. Yes. It is. It's very, very eye-opening. Put it that way. And as well as you're seeing the connection from how these people operate and what was mentioned in the Quran directly, in my humble opinion, anyways, in terms of what was mentioned to, Suleiman, and how the people in the past, they used to say that Suleiman was practicing magic. And I came across some videos. Even today, people are saying that Suleiman alayhi salam was practicing magic. And of course, Allah, he cleared Suleiman's name from that. Right. And as well as these very old Babylonian practices in terms of witchcraft and sorcery, and it goes all the way back even to the times of Pharaoh himself, right? And how these types of you know, sciences in terms of witchcraft and sorcery and whatnot, you'll see them popping up in all kinds of different eras in all kinds of different countries and whatnot, despite the language, whatever. But the methods are similar all the way back to the time of Pharaoh. You know, so if you look at what the Quran has mentioned in terms of Pharaoh and him hiring sorcerers and whatnot, and giving them position and status within his court for them practicing their sorcery and whatnot in his time. Look at some of the people that we find today, even in our time. You find Puff Daddy, who's one of the most recent ones that came out recently, and Jay-Z, and I think we mentioned this in the last live as well, that when these guys got caught, we already knew that Jay-Z was Illuminati. I think most of us knew that as well. We already knew that he was practicing like dark arts and dark magic and whatnot. And this is kind of like the cat's been out of the bag of that for many years. But the level of darkness is really, that's what's hidden, right? The actual depths of how dark these folks can go. And that really got exposed with Puff Daddy because he himself was practicing black magic and dark magic and whatnot. You know what I mean? So here we go. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Abdullah.
Can't hear you, bro. What's going on here?
Turn on.
Salaam Alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, Bilal. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. We were mentioning, and I'm not sure if you've seen in the comments, but everybody's excited about this series, and we have to really thank you for putting this together for us. It was for you guys who don't know, it was actually brother Abdullah's idea. It was his idea to put this together, and I could not be more appreciative for his work and his research. And this has been incredibly eye-opening, and really the stuff that you put out needs to be documented and recorded, even in a book if it's possible, right? Because it's something that it should not be lost. This what you're mentioning. It's very, very, very important. It's very important, and we're making links even between how we were mentioning that this type of stuff is the type of stuff that even Allah warned us about in the Quran with Pharaoh, right? How he warned, and it's that type of magic, those type of dark arts have been carried out through millennia all the way up into our time, right? So I was
exactly.
Yeah, so I'll let you take the floor, and I'll let you do what you do.
Well, Jazakallah khair. First of all, apologies for the delay, people. I just came back from Fajr. Imam was very late this morning. Second, there is literature out there on this topic. As I said, this is not my own research. I'm not a researcher. I read other people's research, and then I just kind of put it all together and present it to you. But originally, I have not done this research for the purpose of presenting it. It's really my own questions that push me to look into these matters. It's just like you remember, Bilal, when we did this stream about the Sha'ira. Like, how did I get to to dive deeper into this? It was my need to understand it myself, first of all. And I'm the kind of person that looks around, and just everywhere I look, it just triggers questions within me, and I need some of these answers, and here what I present to you are just some of these answers, and that's what it is. But I was actually surprised. Like, as I was preparing the presentation, I was surprised to see how much of this information is actually available on Wikipedia. Now, they mentioned the same, on the whole, they mentioned pretty much the same references as I have used. So, the information is out there. Now, we live in a day and age, like the phenomenon of the Roybida within our community is also all around the world. I have watched a number of documentaries on the topic, and they're absolute trash. I watched maybe one good one on a channel called Get Factual. That one was, it was worth the time. But everything else is just sensationalism and buzz. And when you're talking about these kind of topics, esotericism and occultism, etc., you're very quick in the world of buzz. And it can become very hard to make the difference between real facts and just extrapolated Hollywood style kalam that is just there for the sake of buzz and to be sensational.
Well, that's a part of the prophecy of the prophet himself, where he mentioned that you see the time where the truth will be considered a lie and the liar will be considered truthful, right? And we mentioned this hadith several times in this particular podcast, and we have definitely seen the rise of the Waybada, and we're definitely living in the age of the liars, where the liars are being believed over those people who are actually telling the truth, and they're giving, not only are they given platform, but they're rewarded for their lies and basically perpetuating
mini features.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit? Like basically promoting populist agendas, right? And there's no better example of this in the US today, right? Where you have the Orange Avenger, who is the president again for a second term, after pretty much being in a golf course for 4 years in his first term, and he's not even running the show. It's the world's alleged richest man, Elon Musk, making all the rules, right? So
yeah,
and you have a large contingent, as you mentioned, the Roybada, who are promoting folks like this, outright promoting Donald Trump, like overtly. They're not even trying to hide, right? So, but I digress. Go ahead, Sheikh.
Yes, let's go. Let me wait, I got to share my screen here. Allow screen share. Trying to share my screen, Bilal. It doesn't seem to be working. All right, here we are. Okay, you can see my map?
Yep.
Okay, so just to get us back to where we were, first of all, we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, ma ba'du. Allahumma waffiq wa saddid. And to start off from where we left, we have spoken about the three archetype villains of this whole white supremacy ideology. So we had, first of all, Blavatsky. She is at the origin of this, esoteric understanding of theosophy. And she has influenced two other villains, one of them being the occultist Guido von List, who is behind this idea of Armanenschaft. And the other dude is Lanz von Liebenfeld, who is at the origin of this ideology of theozoology. So we said that List, he was pushing this idea that the Germans are the purest leftover of the fifth root race, according to Blavatsky's model of cyclic birth and rebirth of the universe. And Liebenfeld, he has put another layer onto this, saying that everyone else are the results of another race, which are the apelings, and the non-Germans, I mean, the Germans are the purest leftover from this Aryan race, and everyone else is mixed to some extent with the apelings. And in every Gnostic school, there is some form of gaining redemption. And for these guys, gaining redemption is to repurify the race in order for the Aryan race to rule the world. And this is also how we got this whole Lebensborn ideology, where they were practicing extreme eugenics during Nazi Germany. And Guido von Liszt's ideas, as well as Liebenfeld's ideas, culminated in what was called Ariosophy. So we went from Theosophy to what was called Ariosophy. So at this point here, the ideology is complete. We're good to go now. So what happened is that you have had you already had a number of societies, some of them secret, some of them open, that was spreading across Germany, and that had these esoteric ideas and these Ariosophic ideas. But one of them is very important, and is this one here, the Germanenorden, which was founded by this guy here, Theodor Fritsch, and this was in 1912. So we are just before World War One, and it's the aim of this society was to revive, or to not revive, but accentuate this Völkisch culture. You know, we spoke about the fact that you had this Völkisch, which literally means populist culture in Germany, that was a mixture of nationalism and paganism, and so these guys were all about re-accentuating this culture, one by teachings, and teachings not in the form of lectures, but in the form of publications, theater plays, etc. Number two, organizing events. And number three, publications. These guys were very eager to buy all kinds of publishing houses or news outlets in order to spread their ideas. So admission into this particular secret society was based on very strict racial criteria. And one of them is that you had to be blonde to, at minimum, dark blonde. Now, blue eyes, this could not be a criteria, because that is pretty rare, even in Europe and Germany. It's actually more common in Holland for some reason, and probably even in the Scandinavian countries. But not in Germany. And you see, this is also where the anti-Semitic propaganda starts to reach a much stronger level. Now, you see, when you read about these guys, the hatred of Jews has always been a thing. So on the one hand, they're pushing this hatred through the good old pointing out that the Jews are, taking over society through occupying very strategic positions in society that enable them to control different sectors, etc. But you see, in this whole esoteric paradigm of these people, you must ask yourself, where do the Jews and the Semites, which include the Arabs, or at least part of the Arabs, where do they fit in this particular paradigm? And I have found very little information about that, because you see that for Liebenfeld, he claimed that the first pygmy, which was the first apeling, or the origin of the beast man, was Adam alayhi salam. And we know that Adam was a prophet. And what is the position of these people here concerning prophethood, and the fact that Bani Israel are the ones that got the most prophets throughout time and were favored by Allah through that? And there is really not much information on that. And this is something that really needs to be looked at in more, because this will also enable you to understand what they think of us. Now, they obviously had the swastika on their newsletters, according to what I've read. I have not found any image of any one of their newsletters. And they also had a Masonic style of initiation, and they also had this system of degrees, where you go through the levels towards the ultimate secret gnosis in stages. It's interesting to notice that this particular society was opening lodges throughout Germany, and some lodges failed. And the reasons why these lodges failed was mainly bad leadership. And it's just a reminder that, the awliya of shaitan are also just human beings. They succeed sometimes and they fail at other times. And it's for us to look at what we do, what we try to achieve. We don't open lodges. We don't open secret societies. Our community evolves around masajid. And that's really deep. Like, you have to rethink the importance that masajid play in our ummah, and what makes the strength of our ummah. Today we have al-Masjid al-Haram, which is the masjid that was established by Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we have al-Masjid al-Nabawi, which is the one that was inspired by Allah to the Prophet ﷺ to choose this particular place and to build the main masjid of Medina, and it was like the center point of all the Muslim activity. But there is something else that we need to really think about, and it is Masjid Quba. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made hijrah from Mecca to Medina, what is the first thing he did?
He changed the Qibla, right?
He built a masjid. The Qibla was still Sham. The Qibla was still Quds in those day and age.
Yes, that's correct.
Like the Masjid Quba, Quba is was the outskirt of Medina, where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ first reached and relaxed. This is where the people of Medina received him. And he remained there for, if I'm not mistaken, 12 days. And in those 12 days, what is the first thing he built is Masjid Quba. And the symbol of this masjid is so powerful that Allah gave us that whoever prays 2 rak'ah in this masjid gets the virtue of having done a complete umrah. So what does this masjid symbolize? It symbolizes absolutely nothing other than the fact that the first thing that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did when he broke away from the oppression of the mushrikeen was build a masjid. And so when we see how the awliya of shaitan roll with this model here that we have explained in our 2 previous lives, all right, the model of esoteric, pyramidal, layered aqidah and layered elitist society, that is the way of the awliya of shaitan. Our way is masajid and teaching ilm and straightening out the people from the community to break away from the shubuhat and the shahawat that comes from this model right here, the model of the awliya of shaitan.
Now, I know this is a little bit off topic, right? But I got to ask you this because you brought up a very important point, right? And it's not necessarily related to what we're talking to right now, but it might be. And that is the effect of the masjid and the role of the masjid is exactly how you described it. Over here in Canada and America, I would say arguably, well, definitely in France, 100% in France. And I would say even in the UK, but you could say like these Western type countries, right? The masajid now have become, I would say, pacifying elements for the wider Muslim community, and this is being incentivized by the non-Muslim governments that are responsible for these particular communities, right? For example, over here in Canada, we have, the non-profit organization or charitable, you can get charitable status, right? And every masjid wants this charitable status. Why? Because it means you can write off your donations to the masjid for tax write-off. So whenever people are giving you donations, they can send this to the government and they can get that money back from the government as a tax write-off.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
Right. But there is a catch to this, right? That is that the second that you start, essentially going off script, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like wide off. It could just be something like, for example, the pro-Palestine movement or whatnot, right? Which
Absolutely.
actually happened here in Ottawa. It actually happened here. Imams got fired for speaking for the pro-Palestinian cause. They got fired
Wow.
for this, right? It happened in
Wow.
Toronto as well, right? And we did a live about this, right? So over here, because of that relationship between these masajid and the governments, and mind you, the masajid here are not run by imams. They're not. They're run
Yes.
by
A board.
yes, exactly. Okay. So they have like these what you would call it, like these chairmen and whatnot, these committees that are essentially engineers or sometimes doctors, whatever, but they're like the
Gynecologists.
yes, these type of folks, right?
I
Who
know.
might not
things like
necessarily
that.
be religious, but they have the education to run an organization, right?
Absolutely.
And they
And
hire the imams to silence kind of the people and keep these charitable donations coming in to run the masjid, which in fact, what that does, it stifles the development of Islam indirectly, because you cannot speak openly. You cannot speak openly about the progress of the Muslim unity, but you can invite non-Muslim politicians to your mosque to get votes for these politicians in order to increase the spiffs and the fringe benefits of having a masjid, right? But I wanted you to address that a little bit if you can.
Well, no, Bilal, it is. You see, I was actually hinting at that when I was talking about bad leadership.
Oh, there you go.
You know?
Okay. All right.
I didn't know it would
Okay.
trigger you, but
Alhamdulillah.
you see, as I'm saying, these guys have their satanic agenda, and sometimes it just fails. And what is the main ingredient of failure is the bad leadership.
Yes.
And like you actually pointed out at two phenomena right here. Number one, you pointed out at the fact that we have, in some cases, bad leadership in our masajid. And these people, they are actually just qualified to, deal with accounting or, deal with managing a facility. And, they will, just as in a company, if a company is run by accountants, nothing gets done. It stifles everything else. And likewise, in a masjid, okay, it's important we have an accountant that's very meticulous and that makes sure that money is spent the way it's supposed to be spent, and that we have transparency, etc. But he should not be the decision maker when it comes to so many other things. What programs?
Yeah,
are
the
we gonna
direction
run?
of the community should not be done by the chairman of the board of a masjid, unless that chairman is an actual imam. That's just
Absolutely.
my humble opinion, right? I mean, we do need the educated brass to help us and assist us running these facilities, but in terms of being the shot callers and the decision makers for the wider community, it's already showing to be a recipe for absolute disaster, right? So
absolutely. And on the other hand, we have a phenomenon where sometimes you have students of knowledge that might be knowledgeable, but number one, they might not be very wise, or and this is more often, they're actually bad leaders.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And in that case, sometimes you will have a knowledgeable person that has great leadership and that knows how to deal with, he has the soft skills to deal with the different types of the people that are around the community, but sometimes they don't. And if that is the case, well, your role should be to lead salah, give khutbah, and teach classes, but not take leadership decisions. The leadership, you will be a follower and you will not be a leader. And those are really things those are realities we need to wake up to and rethink how we run our central points. You know, the what connects our community and what makes our community grow. So we have had very successful examples at different stages that were then sabotaged, and then, you know, they were reborn after that, and then they were re-sabotaged. You know, at the end of the day, this life is just a never-ending battle between good and evil.
Yes.
It's just a reality. And Allah will give a community a ni'mah of having a well-run masjid for some time, and then Allah will remove it. Because, you know, either because the people of that community were not grateful for having had this ni'mah, or the time is up and now you need to act on your own. And I have been in this kind of situations multiple times throughout the different places that I've lived in the West. And we have to understand that's how it goes. And you as a Muslim, you can't say, oh, because my masjid fell down now, well, I'm going to go down with my masjid. No, the knowledge that I have acquired in the golden age of my masjid, well, I'm going to continue living according to this, even if my masjid is gone, because I don't worship my masjid. I worship Allah with what I used to do in this masjid. Now the masjid is gone. Now I got to do it on my own. And that's just how it is.
100%. 100%, man. So, you know, and whenever you monetize a thing, you're going to get more of it. You get me? So what is being monetized right now is the capitulation of the wider Muslim community since 9/11 anyways, right? And
I think there has been a second chapter after 9/11. Because, you know, I only became Muslim after 9/11, and I have still witnessed very strong, like really mind-blowing masajid in the West. I've still witnessed that. But today, with this, I mean, I'm sure it still exists, but I've seen those masajid go down, you know, over time, and the problems arising, and you know, this multi-layered, this multifaceted attack on the community by spreading facade, by, you know, corrupting the leadership, etc.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a second phenomenon that you know, we also need to talk about, and it's the fact of domestication. You see, the French model has always been to smack Islam in the face. The English-speaking model, you know, US and UK and Canada, has been to corrupt at the top.
Subversion.
Yeah. So it's domestication.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the clearest example of domestication that we have is Yasir Qadhi. What the man is saying, you know, like I watched one of your videos where you spoke about his cheap khutbah on the election, and how he brought this this story about the Sahaba in Ethiopia. Somebody who's at his level knows fully well that you do not take ahkam from stories of the seerah.
Yeah.
He knows that. He knows that. Look, you can say what you want. Oh, the Najdi theology, as he says. Look, now you're going into fiqh, and brother, this is unanimously agreed upon in fiqh. All right, throughout the madahib. But there he is doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and so this man clearly has been hacked in order to change the Muslim paradigm in the West, how they should view themselves in society. They have to be absorbed into society, so we need to tweak the Islam in order to fit the way our society functions. Send your kids to school, have your daughters wear a little, a little piece of cloth like that. You know, she can wear it in the nightclub. Okay, she doesn't need to get fully drunk. You know, she can just be like a little bit. All right. This is the program.
Well, I'll take it one further, Abdullah. Right? Dr. Yasir Qadhi, he went to Yale. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a very strong connection with the topic that we're talking about today, with the occult and these Ivy League schools like Yale, like Harvard, like Oxford, right? If you look at the presidents of the United States, If you look at George Bush, for example, he was a
Absolutely.
member of Skull and Bones,
Yep.
right? His father famously stole the skeleton, the skull of Geronimo, I believe it was, right? And took a picture of it. Okay.
Mhm.
And on top of that, the top level spooks and spies and infiltrators of the entire world come directly from these Ivy League schools, like especially Harvard, especially Yale, and these type of
We know
schools.
someone else from Harvard, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But Harvard is infamous for that. Infamous for that.
Yes.
And they're
Yes,
infamous for
yes.
training spies and infiltrators and people to basically spin the direction of an entire group of people, right, into the way that they want them to go, right? So
Yes, absolutely. And this is what these guys here were doing through
mhm,
what I explained,
mhm.
acquiring publishing houses and just spreading their word,
Yeah, yeah.
spreading, getting hold of the people's minds, because
Mhm,
this is where it needs to happen. And
mhm,
allow me to remind everyone, it shows you the importance of aqidah.
mhm,
What are these people here doing? Are they running military training grounds? Are they? No, they're doing none of that.
mhm.
They are working on the people's aqidah
Yes.
through either direct teaching or cultural events and
Mhm.
entertainment.
Yeah.
That's how they roll.
Yeah, that's a
And
fact.
this is once
And
again
nobody
why
knows
it
that
is
better than Black folk. Like our
absolutely.
entire history since we arrived 400 years ago has been a history of infiltration, provocateur, destruction. This has been our actual history, right? And
Mhm.
you will find like probably hundreds of videos online of actual informants, Black informants who were infiltrators into the Black Panthers, Nation of
Yeah,
Islam, the civil
yeah,
rights
yeah, yeah.
movement. You know what I
I,
mean?
I
So
watched I watched the recorded interview with Richard Ayuki.
mhm.
You know that one?
The Japanese guy from the Nation, right?
That that's
Yeah.
right. No,
Yep.
not the
Yep.
Nation, the Black
Uh,
Panthers.
Black Panthers. Yes. Yes. That's right. Black
Yeah,
Panthers.
yeah.
You're right. Yes.
And
Yes.
like make
He's the
qiyas
one
of
who
that
supplied them with weapons and whatnot. And yeah. And he's
and
Japanese.
training.
Yeah. Yeah.
And training. He was a weapons
Yeah. And
specialist.
training. Yes. Yes.
So
Hmm.
nowadays when they tell us, like our man Mike, when he was talking about, our guys that are trying to get us to do this kind of foolish stuff, well,
Hmm.
just look at how things function. And dude,
Yeah.
that's not how we function.
Exactly.
Uh, that's how your
Exactly.
system functions.
Exactly.
But
But
anyway, moving
yeah.
forward on our story here,
Go ahead.
the Germanenorden became very powerful and spread throughout Germany at to a very large extent. They had many lodges all over the place,
Hmm.
and World War One happens.
Hmm.
World War One, Germany feels invested by its imperialistic, how to say, grandeur, and takes on the dunya
Hmm.
and ends up defeated. World War One, which is also triggered by the assassination carried out by a secret society, the Black Hand, but that's a different story. It's just to show how the world gets shaken by these kind of organizations. But after World War Two, you now have a big body of war veterans that are extremely bitter because of the defeat that they had to endure, and this defeat has changed nothing to their ideology.
Hmm.
The ideology is there, but now you add a thick layer of bitterness to it,
Hmm.
and you add the extreme crisis that was triggered by the treaties that
We're signed
where the
afterward.
allies, the sanctions that the allies imposed on Germany, because
Yeah.
it was very clear, like the idea of these treaties was that Germany has to be punished for
Hmm.
what it did.
Hmm.
And now what did this really do in effect? it accentuated the us versus them dynamics. It's really like, look, all these other nations, what they are doing to us, poor Germans. They're, like the inflation in Germany was so bad that you had to go with a wheelbarrow loaded with
Money.
with money,
Yeah.
not coins, bills,
Bills. Yeah.
in order to buy a loaf of bread.
Yep. And there are pictures of that, historical pictures of this. Yep.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
So in this context now, you have one of the most bizarre and mysterious individuals ever that appears on the scene. A man called Glauer, Rudolf Glauer, who changed his name to Rudolf von Sebottendorf. This man right there comes from, once again, Christian family, but he traveled mainly to Turkey and Egypt in his early days of life. And we know a number of things about him. And I think the most important is what is summarized in this particular text right here. I'm going to read it out. So, besides gaining further technical, so the man is living in Turkey right now. And this is during the early 19th century, before and during World War II. So so he has different jobs in his adventures. He was working on boats for some time, traveled between Egypt and Turkey and Europe, and he was employed by traders and business people to work for them in multiple positions. So let's read. Besides gaining further technical and managerial experience in Turkey, Glauer began a serious study of occultism. An interest in exotic religion had already been kindled when he saw the Melvedi sect of whirling dervishes and visited the Cheops pyramid in Giza in July 1900.
Oh, wow.
His companion Ibrahim had told him of the cosmological and numerological significance of the pyramid and aroused Glauer's curiosity of the occult gnosis of ancient theocracies. So what he's referring to here, the cosmological importance of the pyramids layout, the three pyramids of Giza and the different, sizes is laid out to match the disposition of the constellation of Orion. One of the known constellations, and the size of the pyramids, the amount of stones used, and the dimensions. This is where he's talking about the numerological stuff. So occultists, they deduct a whole lot of messages based on these calculations from the pyramids. So Hussein Pasha, his wealthy and learned host in Turkey, practiced a form of Sufism and discussed these matters with Glauer. At Bursa, he made the acquaintance of the Termudi family, who were Greek Jews from Salonika. Old Termudi had retired from business and devoted himself to the study of the Kabbalah and collecting alchemical and Rosicrucian texts, while his eldest son Abraham managed their bank at Bursa, and a younger brother ran a branch established in Salonika. Apart from the banking business, the Termudi family also traded in silkworm cocoons and raw silk. The Termudis were Freemasons in a lodge that had
been affiliated?
that many have been affiliated to the French. That many have affiliated to the French Rite of Memphis.
Wow.
So the Rite of Memphis Mizrahi, or Memphis Mizrahi, is one of those very mysterious branches of Freemasonry. Some claim that other, let's say, mainstream Freemasonry rejects them as their version of heretics. Shahid is that this is deep, esoteric, occult stuff, and we actually know very little of what's of what this is really about, except for the fact that, you know, it's messing with the invisible, occultism, and you know, numerology and astrology, which is, you know, dealing with the jinn in a direct fashion.
Yeah.
So this rite of Memphis, which has spread in the Levant and the Middle East, Glauer was initiated into the lodge by Old Termudi and subsequently inherited his occult library. In one of these books, Glauer discovered a note from Hussein Pasha describing the secret mystical exercises of traditional Islamic alchemists. So there is no such thing as Islamic alchemy, people.
Yeah.
Okay? Alchemy is a form of esoteric kufr.
Yes.
It is, you know, you have the exoteric alchemy, which is the idea of turning any kind of metal into gold. And then you have the esoteric alchemy, which is just what we have been discussing, the secret gnosis, where you go through stages and you reach the final secret gnosis, which not to turn metal into gold, but for you to leave the human condition and become a god. على فهمهم.
Yes.
So still practiced by the Bakhtashi sect of dervishes. So our man right here, you know, this Hussein Pasha, he's part of the Bakhtashi Sufi sect, which is a full-blown esoteric Sufi sect that, you know, has what we have spoken about in our last episode, where, you know, you have the upper layer that have a secret aqidah, and the lower layer is dumbed down, you know, and they turn on themselves and, you know, do this bizarre rituals, you know, that, you know, the hand gestures that mean all these different things, all in the quest of enlightenment, etc. That's the kind of person we're dealing with right here. So when Glauer returned to Turkey in 1908, he continued his study of Islamic mysticism, which we have just defined what they mean with Islamic mysticism, which in his opinion shared a common Aryan source with the Germanic runes.
Wow.
So that's our man right here. Now, this man is so shrouded in mystery. They claim that this here is a statue, like a bust, as they call it, made of him. But even that is disputed. So I have found about 4 or 5 pictures of him online. It's very funny. The most pictures will be on the Turkish Wikipedia page of him.
Wow.
So the Turks definitely know who this
No,
guy
they know
is.
who he is. They know
All
who
right?
he is.
He's part of their history. Obviously, I couldn't read that page because I don't know Turkish. But each one of those pictures is disputed. The authenticity is disputed. Okay. Now, our man Glauer, aka von Zebottendorf. So where does the name von Zebottendorf come from? Zebottendorf was an aristocratic family, I don't remember, in Bavaria or Austria, which in those days was all one country anyway.
Yeah.
They were part of the Prusso-Germanic Empire. This particular family was also into mysticism and occultism, and they were very into this rune occultism that we have, you know, pointed at in previous episodes. So Zebottendorf, with his occult knowledge and his knowledge of runes, became very close to one of the nobles of the Zebottendorf family, and he ended up being adopted by him as an adult. So he was then called, you know, Rudolf Freiherr von Zebottendorf. Freiherr meaning he was adopted as an adult into the family. It is kind of like what we have when we say Maulahum. When, you know, say a slave is freed by someone, he becomes his Mawla. So there are certain rulings that are less than the rulings of kinship, but still these rulings apply to the wilaya. So this is kind of what he did with this aristocratic family of von Zebottendorf. So this man, now after World War II, no, actually before World War II, he goes to Germany and he meets Hermann Paul, who was the #1 of the Germanenorden. So he was the co-founder. So this is a picture of Fritsch. He was the main founder, and Hermann Paul was his co-founder. But Hermann Paul, he was really running the Germanenorden at the top of the pyramid. He was obviously also an occultist, and Glauer, aka von Sebottendorf, and Hermann Paul, they connect straight away on this foundation of occultism, and more precisely the knowledge of the runes, because they believe that this is where the secret heritage of the early German people is preserved and hidden, and it's for them to uncover it. So they discuss race purification, and very quickly Glauer becomes Paul's second in Bavaria. Bavaria is one of those very mysterious regions of the world. Let me just show you something.
Sure.
You see, when we talk about the Illuminati, you have the word enlightenment in Illuminati, the enlightened. That is just across esoteric societies. That's no, that's nothing unusual. However, when we speak about the Illuminati, nowadays all we have is murky waters and pop culture and buzz. The real Illuminati are these guys here. The Bavarian.
One second, let me just maximize this. Go ahead.
The Bavarian Illuminati Secret Society.
Hold it up for a second. Let me see if I can mirror this camera for you. 1 second. Let me mirror it so people can see it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you're mirrored. Yeah.
So this book right here is well known. René Le Forestier is well known is to be the reference book on this particular topic. And you can see it's not an easy read. I have not read this one yet, but you see, Bavaria has a history of occultism, and this history is alive in the aristocratic families of the region. The occult esoteric symbols are spread on their coats of arms of these families, in the castles where they live, and in the study groups they run in their publication houses, etc. And now we have Glauer in the just pre-World War I situation or timeline. He is running this secret Aryan society in that particular region, and he is a heavy occultist who goes around, and he is just hungry for more. So World War I breaks out, and as far as I remember, Glauer, he fled the scene during World War I. كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان كفر. Okay, and he spends time in Turkey. World War I becomes this unprecedented meat grinder. One very interesting reason for that is the abolishment of the gold standard. You see, World War I, according to some, I don't have sufficient background knowledge to gauge to gauge that information, but according to some, World War I is the first war where every nation that was involved had an open credit to finance the war effort because of the abolishment of the gold standard. And this is why World War I just dragged so crazily, and so much human and material damage was just thrown at the war for destruction. And so Germany endured an absolute crushing defeat. And you, as I said, you have this situation now where Germany is in defeat, is in economical crisis, in political complete turmoil, the Weimar Republic, you had a new head of state almost yearly between World War I and the time that Hitler took over.
Yeah.
Because of just the political instability.
Yes.
And you have all these soldiers, officers and under officers that are bitter and that want revenge. Glauer comes back to the scene. And what happens? He now reshapes the Germanen order, the Germanen Orden in Bavaria specifically. So Germanen Orden still exists, but he kind of takes off the Bavarian branch and he remodels it in the notorious Thule Gesellschaft in München, which is the capital of the Bavarian region. So the Thule Society is really what got us the Nazi Party without the shadow of a doubt. So it is run by this guy von Sebottendorf, who is a deep occultist, who claims to be a Rosicrucian, who is initiated into the Bartashi Sufism, occultist practices, and he is into all this rune Germanic occultism, and he supposedly believes into this Aryan ideology, the Ariosophy. Funnily enough,
before you continue, Abdullah, right?
Yeah.
Right, because the way that you've been breaking this down for the last 3 lives, right, has been really amazing, right? And now we come to this point where we're seeing the very clear connection between how this occult type of group came into Europe and its direct connection to Hitler, and how it took just a couple of generations, and it really didn't take that long, right?
That's right.
Maybe about 50, 60 years or so, right? And then you have this direct connection, right? And not only that, but there's a story about Nuh alayhi salam and how his people were introduced to shirk, right? Before he came on the scene, right? You know,
That's
how
right.
they had some righteous folks, right? And then the people decide, okay, let's make some statues to remember, until eventually they ended up into the shirk, right? This connection, the way that it is brought in, just reminded me of that. I just wanted to mention that, right? And also for the family that is watching still, share this, please. And if you haven't liked this, 15 of y'all, you have to like. We put a goal on the chat there, so if you can help us reach that goal, make sure you do that. But make sure you share these lives. If you haven't been keeping up with these lives, are incredibly important. They're very, very important, and it's something that every Muslim should be privy to. This type of work that Brother Abdullah is putting forward to us today. All right. So go ahead, Abdullah. I just have to interrupt you to mention that. So
sure,
go ahead.
But as you pointed out, the story of Nuh, one of the main lessons we learned from the story of Nuh is that Shaitan works intergenerational. And that's exactly what happened here. Like, where was Blavatsky and where is Glauer? Like, we have about 3 generations of people here. All right, so she passed away in 1891. And now we have a new generation coming up here in post World War II. So yes, the people in here are old heads, but they are the ones that are now passing this on to this 3rd generation.
3rd generation, yes, exactly. Exactly. But if you think about it, this is 3 generations, 50, 60 years, about 3 generations. So
that's right.
Yeah, and now it's turning into this it's like a really demonic type of, I don't even know, but we've seen the results of the Nazi Party anyways, and it's how it's making a comeback is absolutely amazing. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, well, look, what it is that, you see, Blavatsky, she was a pure occultist. That was just her thing. Now, Guido von List, he was an occultist as well, but he also had a much broader vision from a social and political like social and political life was included in his vision.
Yes.
Then we have Liebenfels.
Mm.
He was an occultist and, say, a pseudoscientist.
Mm.
So he contributed to, let's say, the influence of the wider masses through his readings. And once again, he was running a publication, Ostara, that, by the way, Ostara is known to have been read by Hitler. I forgot to mention that last time.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right. Before World War II, the Ostara magazine was read by Hitler, and there is even kalam that Hitler was collecting them. And now you have von Bottendorf, aka Glauer, who is now founding this or reshaping this Armanenschaft, which was, belief, propaganda, and to some extent, the German, or to some extent political. But now Glauer, as we will talk about now, he goes full-blown political. And so the Thule Society, first of all, from an esoteric aspect, what does Thule mean? Thule is is like Atlantis. You ever heard of Atlantis, Bilal?
Atlantis, like the ocean?
No, Atlantis, the
Atlantis, the underground. I'm sorry, the underwater city. The city of Atlantis. Yeah, the city underwater. Yes.
So Atlantis is a piece of land that, according to the esoterics, used to live on there a people that were drowned. Like the piece of land drowned and they were all destroyed. So, but those are esoteric beliefs, brother. So, according to Blavatsky, the Atlanteans, they were a root race, and the Aryans were planted by them. Right? So they were planted somewhere else, and the Atlanteans disappeared. So likewise, the Thule is an island in the north where the Aryans supposedly lived. And, different esoterics will have different, terminology for this. But once again, it's this, this region that is kind of like a paradise where you have these god people that live there in this perfect society and everything goes well. And then, they fell from grace when some of them started mating with the apelings. So that's the title of this thing. Of course, all right, of course, we have the good old swastika right here with a sword. The sword is not for cooking, guys, huh? Like the symbol of the sword, it has nothing to do with industry, or it announces the color right here. So this was the letterhead of their memos, if I'm not mistaken, their internal newsletters. All right. Obviously, you have the swastika here as well. So you remember that I told you that the esoteric model aims at, taking hold of the framework of society. So when we look at Freemasonry, we dumb down the masses while we try to get on board, people in education, the legal sector, politics, media, industrialists, etc. All right, we spoke about that in the previous live, quite like fairly at the beginning. Well, what did our man von Bottendorf do, and who did he get on board? So while the Thule guests included Gottfried Feder, Alfred Rosenberg, Dietrich Eckart, and Rudolf Hess, all to achieve prominence in the Nazi Party. A study of the membership list reveals that the Thule supporters were drawn principally from lawyers, judges, university professors, aristocratic members of the Wittelbach royal entourage, industrialists, doctors, scientists, and rich businessmen like the proprietor of the elegant Hotel Vierjahreszeitung, yani the Four Seasons Hotel in München.
Bro, I mean, we alluded to this earlier when I was talking about these Ivy League schools, and that's exactly how they operate. Do
That's
you know?
how this works.
Oh my gosh, bro! They operate exactly like this. Exactly like
Absolutely.
this. In these secret societies, they emanate from these Ivy League schools, from like Harvard. You know, the most infamous Skull and Bones. I think that Skull and Bones, I think, is Yale, right? But
Yeah, it's
you know,
Yale.
and then they have these think tanks like the Hoover Institute, which again, a lot of the smart Harvard elites or whatever, from the right leaning political parties and whatnot, and they call them a think tank, but what is it's actually a secret society, right?
Absolutely.
They are you know, basically making policy and whatnot, and trying to, you know, push agendas for the wider society. And on top of that, these Ivy League schools, only a certain segment of society can actually get into them, right? You know what I mean? So this is how they're operating, just like
Bil-
this.
Bilal, I was in Europe, in Belgium. I was in an elitist uni,
Mhm,
but you see the way these people operated
mhm.
is different. You
Yes.
see, in Europe, you cannot be selective on who you let in.
Mhm,
So there are certain unis that impose an extremely heavy, how to say, an extremely heavy fee. So that is selective from the get-go, but
mhm,
that's, you cannot do that across the board. So the uni that I went to, I absolutely was unaware that I was completely unaware of how societies ran in the first place. I was very
mhm,
naive, coming out of secondary school.
mhm,
So that particular uni, it had two campuses.
mhm,
One in town that was very accessible, and one in the outskirts of town that was difficult to access.
mhm.
And I noticed straight away that there was a very heavy portion of that particular of the people that were attending that uni were from the bourgeois, society
Bourgeoisie,
of
yeah.
Brussels. Yeah, the
Bourgeoisie, yeah.
bourgeoisie of Brussels.
Mhm,
And Akhi Bilal, we there were a lot of international students there. There were a lot of
mhm,
Africans there. There were a lot
mhm,
of European students there. Italians, French. There was a bunch of Luxembourgies there.
mhm,
But Akhi, if you were not from this bourgeoisie,
mhm.
you're an outcast in there.
Yes.
And brother, you're not gonna make it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
will kill yourself
Mhm.
studying day and night, and you will fail.
Yes.
And these guys, they're partying day and night, and
Mhm.
they pass.
Passing. They're passing. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm,
And so in the first year, where you have, like this downtown campus, um, where you have all these international students, you have all these Africans and these guys from far-flung places in Europe. Like these bourgeoisie folks, they might have made up close to 40% of the population.
mm.
Second year, this in this other part, now they make up more or less 95% of the population.
There you go.
Okay, and how does this work? Is that they keep all of your undesirables away.
Mhm,
However, if we see that from all your undesirables, there's some really bright minds. Okay, well, you going to level 2,
mhm.
okay, and we're gonna bring you close because we're gonna need you.
Yes.
We don't want to just rely on the dummies, our dumb children. No, we need some bright minds. All right, there, you can make an analogy with the house Negro.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, we need one that's, we're gonna take one of you,
Mhm.
and we're gonna bring him slightly closer to manage the rest.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
and this is how this works. And the Nazi Party was no different. You see here, lawyers, judges, university professors, aristocratic members of the royal entourage, industrialists, doctors. That is the framework of society.
Mhm,
That's what sets the tone for everything else. And then we have these names here that the author of this book mentioned. All right. So we have number one, Dietrich Eckart. He is the founder of this thing here. The DAP, Deutsche Arbeiterpartei,
mhm,
the German Workers' Party. Then we have his co-founder, Gottfried Feder. He is the one. No, he's not the co-founder. The co-founder was, I believe, Rosenberg. He was the co-founder of the DAP. But here we have Gottfried Feder. He is the one who brought Hitler into
that party,
into this party, and Hitler changed it into the NSDAP.
Yeah, which stands for
Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, National Socialist German Workers' Party.
And what's the acronym for it?
Nazi. All right. So you have Nazi is not from national, not. So yani socialist. So it's the not and C.
Yes.
All right. That's what this is. So it was. So it's the Workers' Party. So it is. If it is technically the lower layer of the pyramid. It's the masses. The Nazi party, it claims to be a party that is for the masses. Whereas we have seen that the folks who are in this particular secret society are the folks up here. Bilal, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. All right. So you cut out for a second. So once again, we see that we have an elitist or an elite group that is creating a paradigm for the masses and manages the masses while they are upon something different.
Absolutely.
So Hitler, he brought in, so the Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, Hitler, he brought in the National Socialist aspect of this idea of this party. So national in the sense that he practiced somewhat of an isolation economic strategy and a social economic strategy. Means that he invested heavily in different types of industries that were run by the members of the Thule Society. And he, as a matter of fact, done a lot of good for the economy. I mean, he brought the economy of the country back on its feet with this particular strategy. However, this strategy is always short-lived. All right. You can, of course, I don't know, if your car has any kind of issue, you can, of course, throw all your money into your car in order to fix it, but you're going to starve before the month ends.
Yes.
And you know, these populist parties, this is how they roll. They always have these short-term solutions at reviving the economy, and everybody is happy. And then the economic collapses after 4 to 5, 5 to 10 years, time period, and then it's the fault of these other, players.
Folks, yeah.
It's definitely
and that goes back to the book we were talking about last time, the book by Gustave Le Bon called the Crowd, right? When he wrote that book in 1895, right when at the turn of the century, when all the stuff was kind of like melting together, right? So you had the rise of nationalism around this time, right? And of course, World War I was in 1910, right? And then all this kind of stuff was kind of boiling over, and he kind of predicted the direction it was going to go with this populism, and so he wrote the book The Crowd to show what crowd psychology looks like. Ironically enough, when he wrote about this book, because he himself, Gustave Le Bon, he was a racist, as the elites in this time, they were proud to be racist, right? And he was actually talking about in that Crowd, the book, The Crowd, how the dominant races would move as opposed to the lower races, right? So, but I digress. That's a different point. But it's all kind of related to all the stuff was going on in this time.
Yes, absolutely. Because you see, once again, there's a very interesting interview out there on a channel. I believe it's called Lad Bible Interviews or Lad Bible. I don't remember, but they kind of run like interviews with people from different walks of life. And so they had an interview with an ex-neo-Nazi. Akhi, wallahi, it's very interesting
Mm-hmm.
because it just gives you the profile
Mm-hmm.
of of these kind of people at the lower end of the
Mm-hmm.
spectrum,
Yes.
not the elites. These guys here are the elites,
Yes,
and these
exactly.
lower guys, how are they managed to do or to become what they
It
became?
would
These
become
kind of bloodthirsty savages.
yes, 100. And all of this is related when you're talking about the pyramid, where you have the esoterics and the Gnostics on the top, and then you have, pardon me, just the general, the awam on the bottom.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
top is controlling the bottom with what? With knowledge, with this Gnosticism, right? They
yeah,
have the knowledge, and they make sure that the people on the bottom don't have that knowledge, right? Or they
yes.
don't share it. As they say, they don't share it because the people on the bottom, they can't handle it, right? So, but I digress.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and we make something specific for them. We make a dumbed down folkloric
Mhm.
culture. And in the
Yes.
case of neo-Nazis, like the dude was explaining, so he was angry because of a family situation that he had.
Mhm.
And this anger as a young teenager, it translates as, I hate everyone.
Mhm.
And this is when he ran into a skinhead.
Mhm.
And he clicked with that skinhead because of his anger
Mhm.
of everyone and everything. And now, well, very good. You angry, my boy? Well, we got a whole set to feed you to fuel your anger because you like it. Because it's like when you're depressed,
Mhm.
like Kufar, they like to listen to more depressing music. When they're
Yes.
angry, they like to listen to more angry making
Angry
music.
music. Yeah.
All right. So the what is neo-Nazi music?
Like
It's just about
that's
anger, brother.
punk rock or that heavy metal, you know? It's
Yeah,
very, very
but there
hard.
is the Nazi specific one.
Mhm.
It's all about anger, brother.
Yeah.
So he said, like, the dude would wake up with this and, go to bed with this. And, he went quite far. He became a skinhead group leader, because they have a
Mhm.
hierarchy.
Mhm.
So he became a group leader.
Mhm.
And he ended up in jail where he woke up. But it's also funny because the interviewer asked him, what do you think of the Ku Klux Klan?
Mhm.
So he said, oh, we viewed the Ku Klux Klan as just a bunch of racist rednecks because they are, they're just racist, but they don't understand politics. But us, in Germany, the neo-Nazis, we combined, the racism with politics and we have a broader view. It's, you know,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. But you see,
Wow.
but it's very interesting how
Yeah.
they really have an encompassing view of society, and they
Mhm.
have something for everyone. We
Yeah.
have something for the dummies, but we also understand how we have to play the bigger game.
Yes.
And so, and then another member of this particular society here is Rudolf Hess, who
Mhm.
was Hitler's second.
Yes.
He was so it's this very bizarre story. Rudolf Hess. He was the last Nazi to die, I believe.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know his story, Bilal, but he secretly fled Germany on a small plane and
Mm.
parachuted himself over Scotland, I believe. And
Mhm.
he wanted to negotiate peace with the Brits without Hitler knowing it. Hitler was
Mm.
just woken up in the morning and say, "Hey, yo, Hess, he jumped on a plane and he went to the UK."
Mhm.
And nobody knows what Hitler thought of this because he never spoke about it.
Mhm.
And so Rudolf Hess, because he wanted to negotiate peace with the Brits in order to
Yeah.
focus on war with the Russians,
Mhm.
because he understood very well that the war was already like around
Lost.
33. He
Yeah.
understood it was lost because Germany had spread itself thin.
Yes.
And so Rudolf Hess, he was looked up. He was locked up by the Brits. And after World War II, he was tried, and he was locked up in a prison that was dedicated to Nazi prisoners.
Mhm.
And the Americans and the Russians will have 5-year terms of running this prison.
Mhm.
So the U.S., I think it was 5 years, might have been 10, but anyway, it's the number of years anyway. US runs it for that many years, and then khalas, they pull out, and then the Russians run it for that many years. So in the 80s, the Russians announced that. So Rudolf Hess, he was the last man alive in that prison. Imagine. So the US is running this prison with one prisoner, Rudolf Hess, and the Russians announced that when they're going to take over and in their next term, they're going to free him because, khalas, he's old now and just let him go. And so he committed suicide.
Wow. Wow.
Dude was so old he could barely stand, but somehow he managed to hang himself from the ceiling with a piece of wire.
Wow.
Just one of them stories.
Wow.
Anyway.
But I have heard of Rudolf Hess, though, right? But I didn't know.
I mean, he was Hitler's right-hand man.
Yes.
All right,
yes, and of course, this is from godlessness, anyways. Like you find that these people who are godless, that's their method, right? They cause the most havoc on the earth, and when it's time for them to face justice, they always take the coward's way out.
I think he was suicided. Yeah, Bilal.
Do you think he was suicided?
Oh yeah, bro. Dude, the man could barely walk.
Yeah.
All right. How is he gonna hang himself from the ceiling? Dude, his story doesn't add up. But anyway. So anyway, now we have Uncle Adolf in the picture. Uncle Adolf, he joins the NSDAP and he becomes the de facto leader because he was such. So Hitler, of course, he was a soldier in World War One. There is some disagreement on what he did exactly in World War One. He was definitely injured and he was declared mad by the military doctor that treated him. He was also awarded the Iron Cross for bravery. And during the Weimar Republic time and Hitler's rise to power, a doctor wrote a 2-volume book on Hitler's mental condition.
Yep.
All right, and this doctor, I don't remember if he was committed suicide or if he was openly assassinated after Hitler came to power. Anyway, we also need to talk about this guy here, Heinrich Himmler, the mastermind and leader of the SS. The SS, as we have mentioned in the first live, it was the most esoteric branch of the Nazi party. So the SS was everything from an ideological propaganda machine through supposed scientific research and research into the Aryan roots and where the Aryan artifacts are left, etc., to an intelligence apparatus, local and international, and special forces. So the special forces branch of the SS was called the Waffen SS, the armed SS or the arms SS, and everything bore the SS rune. So this is a rune.
Yes,
literally. So we said that these
now
these
before you continue, can you show us that rune again? All right, because I want to show you guys something, right, to show you how deep this gets. All right, 1 second, y'all. All right. Now I'm an old guy. Okay, I think y'all know that I'm old. All right, I'm a lot older than I look. Okay, so
Allah barik.
I mean,
I got gray hair, brother.
Yeah, but the SS symbol. I always used to look at that. I'm like, where would I seen this before? Where have I seen this before? Right? Because it looks so familiar, right? And then somehow I came across this. I think it was today or yesterday. Yeah, that's where I seen it before. All right, I'm gonna show you something. All right, 1 second, y'all. Let me just get this. 1 second. Some of y'all who are older, you're going to know this right away. Okay. So let me just get this. All right. So I'm gonna share it first, and then I'm gonna see if anybody can tell me what this is. Okay. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Let me just move this over. 1 second, family. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, now I'm gonna share. Okay, tell me what you think of this.
Bilal.
Am I tripping?
Bilal.
Am I tripping?
No, you're not. And I'm going to tell you a story
Okay,
about this.
all right.
I'm going to tell you a story about this.
Okay. So, but before you tell the story, just tell the audience what this is, because I know a lot of young people, they're not going to know this at all.
I mean, this is a rock group.
Yes.
I've never listened to them. I was never into rock music.
Yeah.
But this is, the bizarre kind of, I believe, metal or heavy metal kind of rock group.
Yes. Very, very famous rock group in the 70s and 80s, right?
Well, I remember them from the 90s. I remember seeing them in the 90s.
Yeah, but they're very, very famous. Very, very famous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're famous because of, 1 second, because of this. They're famous because of, let me just share this with y'all. Let me just share. I'm going to skip this part. Oops, nope, not that one. Not that one. Hold on. Let me just share this tab. They're famous because of this, how they look.
Yeah.
As you can see, and if you see them, you probably recognize them right away, right? Because
absolutely.
If you didn't know the name of the band, this band is called Kiss, right?
Yeah.
But even when I was young, I used to wonder, why would their S's look like completely different font from the K and the I, right? And I came across them. Yes, I don't know how I came across them, but it turns out that was that SS. Oh, anyways, I'll let you tell the story of it, because I think I talked too much. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so let us share screen again. All right, you can see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, we need to establish is this thing is, as a matter of fact, a rune, and they call it the SS rune. And where it comes from this whole voyage of occultism that goes back to Guido von List. He is the one, if you remember, we have explained, he had this book, Die Geheimnis der Runen, and he was the one who started this ideology, the fact that, the runes, they contain the secret of the Aryan heritage, the Aryo-German heritage, and their, their culture, their aqidah and whatnot. And, it is used for sihr and astrology and whatnot. Then, we have the Germanen Orden that was into runology, and of course von Sebottendorf as well, and his connection with those nobles was mainly on the basis of runes. This is like, oh, about runes, and they connected this way. Now, in the field of runes, we have this guy right here, Karl Maria Willigut. So he was once again a veteran from the First World War, and he joined the SS, and he was an occultist as well, and he was very influential at the highest level of the SS leadership, and their esoteric activities. He's the one who designed this particular ring right here. Right, so this was the Ring of Honor from the SS. So you see, it has the skull and bone logo. By the way, the skull and bone logo, or say seal, whatever you want to call it, it actually is traced back to the Templars.
Yes, that would make sense anyways. Yeah.
No, but you know what it actually is?
What is it?
It is a relic. You know, the Christians, they have this sick, how do you want to call it, attachment to relics, which are the bones of saints.
Yes.
All right. So in I don't know how it is in America, but in Europe, in Catholic territory, you will have these churches or these shrines that have a grave or a sarcophage. How do you call it in English? Sarcophage? Sarcophage?
Sacrifice.
No. Like the box.
Oh, you're talking about sarcophagus.
Yes, exactly.
Sarcophagus. Yeah.
The stone sarcophagus, and inside they have bones of a saint, and people in common get blessings from these bones. And it's really quite sick. But the Knights Templars, they had the skull and the what's the bone called, the femur. The femur, the I think it's a femur and a shin bone.
Crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. Of I believe her name is Saint Euphemia. So she was a martyr. She was a Christian martyr, and supposedly they had her relics, and this was one of their esoteric practices to get barakah from these relics. And you see, when the Knights Templars went underground, that's when pirates in the Mediterranean started flying the skull and bones flag on their ships. So, there is speculation, like how on the timeline, what is this coincidence on the timeline? And, you have the Skull and Bone Society in Yale.
Yes.
What is it? How does it connect?
To connect to this, yes.
To this,
what's
right
the significance?
Here?
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you see here on the sides of the ring, you have runes. Very simply, you have different types of runes. So, this is what the SS was all about. Now, this particular guy, he is the one that has, you see, like indicated that this particular castle here called Wewelsburg should be acquired as the headquarters of the SS. So the Wewelsburg is in some region of Germany, and really good, he drawn this map for the expansion of the SS quarters around the Wewelsburg. So you see here, this shape, that's right here. All right. So he had a whole map, in circular form that culminates in this dungeon right here, where you are going to have, barracks for the Waffen SS, training grounds, but also other facilities for other activities of the SS. And but this never came to realization because Germany had stretched itself thin, and they lost the war, and they that's just what happened.
Yeah.
So within the Wewelsburg, you have, first of all, let's start with this one here. So this is one of their main halls. So specialists of esotericism, they're going to tell you that this whole room right here is filled with symbolism and was most likely a room where they had some form of rituals, prayers, whatnot. Yeah. So here you have the black sun. The black sun, and here you have these pillars. So there's a specific number of them pillars, and the number means something. I don't know exactly, but you see, they have a lot of explanation on all the symbolism that is encompassed in this black sun here. So you see, it's kind of like a swastika with multiple branches, and the branches double up as a S of the SS
of the
rune.
SS SS rune. Yeah.
See,
you can see that very clearly, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So SS, what does it mean? It means Schutzstaffel. Schutz means protection. Staffel means squadron. And so if you just have one S, it doubles up as Sieg, victory. So this is called the Sieg rune. So here, the branches of this swastika double up as an S from the SS rune or the Sieg rune, as well as So, you have this idea of, we said that the swastika at the beginning when Blavatsky brought it to Europe, the swastika symbolizes this energy, this esoteric energy source that is, flowing through the dunya, and that their whole mystical practices is aimed at harnessing this energy.
Yeah.
So here you have this, and we say it's a form of sihr. So the
Yeah,
swastika
we
is
call those energies jinn, right? So,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So you see, like, the swastika is at the core, and the energy flows out into what? The S rune, the Zik rune, etc. Now, what this circle here means, I don't know, and what this big black point in the middle means, I don't know. But specialists in esoteric interpretations, they will tell you. Then
there's
have
a very famous song, right? Maybe it's about this, actually. I'm not sure if you heard it, this song, but it's very, very famous. It's called Black Hole Sun.
Brother, that song used to give me nightmares.
Really, huh? Even the way
Wallahi,
it sounds like something that it's out of like an occult. Like it just sounds
absolutely.
the whole
Even
thing.
the clip, Akhi. You remember the clip?
Yeah, I saw the clip. I saw
Akhi,
it, the
disgusting.
videos.
It's like, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, it never sat right with me. Even the way it sounded, the lyrics, and then the video,
not.
and it just reeked with the cult. For me, it did anyways, right?
Absolutely. Look, in those days, I didn't even understand English.
Yeah.
I was a kid when that thing came out, but just the sound of it,
yeah.
Made me just. And at the same time, I couldn't help but watch it.
Yeah, of course, because that's how sihr is, right? It draws you in. It draws you in. So, yeah.
And then you have another very interesting room within the Wevelsburg. You have this dome that is, I believe, is kind of like partially underground. Like, if you look at this window here, you see this window is going upwards. And so on the ceiling of this dome, you have once again this swastika.
You can't even try to deny that, man. That's very obvious.
Of course,
it's very obvious. Yeah.
Okay, and then you have these additional, lines to it, and underneath this swastika, you see this is a vent, and underneath this vent, you have this eternal flame. So in this particular dome here, they had an eternal flame. Like, if you visit it today, like, here, it's unclear on the picture, but you still see the metal pipe come from underground here, where it was a gas pipe, and it had this eternal flame blowing. So, Akhi, what does that look like? Come on, man.
Zoroastrian to me,
dome with these,
Zoroastrians, they do the same thing. They have the eternal fire. They don't put it out, and they've been practicing for thousands of years. But go ahead, continue. What does it remind you of? For me, it's Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's occult stuff.
It's occult. Yeah, the Zoroastrians, in my opinion, they are like one of the longest running occult groups in history. If you look into the beliefs and what they practice, it's pretty much like, I'm sorry to say it like this, but it's like Satan worship. You know what I mean? So, I'm just saying, if you just like, briefly look into their practices, because they themselves are isolationists, right? And when you're able to find out what they actually believe, what they practice, they worship fire, they have all this type of energy stuff, and they believe in all that kind of stuff, right? And
absolutely.
They have, I think they have a peacock or something like that, or I can't remember, right? But they have the concept of the eternal flame. That's them.
Yeah,
that's them. So, anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Anyway, but people, I mean, let's just put this into perspective. All the stuff I just shown you is in the Wevelsburg, which is the headquarters of the SS, which was the most powerful branch of the Nazi regime. So you see, it is 100% occult. All right, and so going back to the Kiss rock band.
Yes.
Nowadays in Germany, it is 100% forbidden to show this SS rune anyway. I don't know about the swastika, but brother, the SS rune, you are not allowed to show this thing in any way, shape, or form. And it's to the point where neo-Nazis, when they go on demonstrations, the way law enforcement gets them is if any of their obviously they tattoo this stuff on their skin.
Yeah.
So if their tattoo of the SS is visible, they get arrested for that. Because you've broken the law right there. So freedom of speech, etc. Yeah, it's all cool, but this thing there you can't. And so the band Kiss was to perform in Germany, and it created a big hoo-ha because of the symbol of their band.
Wow.
And they had to change it on stage in order to do their concert in Germany.
Wow.
I'm sure you can find this online. They changed it to some lightning looking shape. Al-Muhim, they had to move away from the SS rune because that's just what it is, brother. It was the SS rune. Now, I've never listened to them. As I said, I was never into rock music, and so I don't know what their lyrics are about. But, I mean, it's clear-cut the SS rune. Now, look, there is another very strange phenomenon. So, as I said, the SS rune is highly prohibited in Germany. So in an airport, I believe in Leipzig airport, it was a new airport. All of a sudden, like on one of the walls, like this, it was still being built. All right. On one of the walls of one of the buildings of the airport, they had these things here sticking out. And it just so happened at a certain time of the day, when the sun is at a certain angle, these things here sticking out
are
cast a shade that gives you a triple S rune.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That is crazy, man.
And that caused a big hoo-ha. Now, you see, Bilal, people are going to tell you, oh, coincidence.
This is not a coincidence. That's impossible. That's impossible.
Could be 1 in a million or 1 in 10 millions.
Yeah.
All right. But you got to understand is that this is how secret societies roll.
Exactly.
I don't know why, but they have this urge to put their symbol out there somewhere to signal their presence.
Their signal presence, yes. And also they like to let you know what they're going to do before they do it with symbolism.
Yeah. Because symbolism represents the aqidah.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's actually it's a story of the chicken or the egg. You know, what came first, the aqidah or the symbolism?
Yeah.
It's just very, you know, it's a bit of both in multiple cases. Okay, last thing we can maybe mention. So this is a fairly recent story. So this is what is called a cauldron. It's a kind of pot, if you will, that was used obviously for just simple pot kind of uses, cooking, etc. But cauldrons are also used in rituals.
Yes, of course.
So the Celts, they would have silver cauldrons, and they would use these in ritual sacrifices, etc. And they would have symbols engraved on them. And there is this whole fever about the Nazi gold and all the the Nazi wealth. Where did it go? Has it been looted? Is there still some booty to be found here and there? Well, in one of the lakes, I believe it was in Switzerland, like the Alps, they have these lakes elevated high up in the mountains.
Yes.
So it is believed, so the Germans, a lot of them, they fled to the Alps, and there was this whole legend about the Alpenfestung. So the Alps fortification, which was supposedly this untakeable fortification that the Nazis had built inside of the Alps, inside of the mountains, and it was their last line of defense. And from there, they had enough wealth and technology all built in the mountains in order for them to go into hiding, defend themselves, in order to rebuild themselves and smack the world a second time. Now, everything leads to believe nowadays that was not true, that project never was how to say, never was brought to fulfillment, and that most Nazis actually fled to South America. And however, this cauldron right here was found in one of the lakes of the Alps, and specialists have looked into it, and they have found fairly convincing proof that this cauldron was made by a metal worker that was multiple times commissioned by the SS for certain works for them. And the records are there to show that he made a cauldron for them in out of a 10 kg gold piece that was given to him by the SS in order to make this cauldron. And once again here you can see, so cauldrons are used in rituals, okay? Here you see rituals of human sacrifice depicted on the cauldron. All right. So, but this is one of the other enigma. There's a documentary about this thing that is fairly all right. You can find that, you type Nazi cauldron or SS cauldron, something like that. You can find that. It was fairly okay. But once again, it's deep occultism.
Of course.
And that is really what white supremacy is. It's just a satanic project amongst so many others. And it is a satanic elite that is manipulating angry underdogs in order to do something really bad.
Now, this is very, very clear when it comes to the Nazism. Over here, we have, as you mentioned before, the KKK, right? And the entire presence of the KKK is just face value occultism rather.
Absolutely. I mean, burning crosses at night in white hoods. Come on, man, please.
And burning burning crosses, white hoods, and the hoods themselves are like the Druid style hoods, right? Even though the robes are like Druid style, they're just white.
Yes.
Yes.
And the top layer dude, what is he called? The Grand Master.
The Grand Dragon, the Grand Master, Grand Dragon, like what does this have to do with Christianity at all, right? But
absolutely, Bilal. Thank you very much. You see, like what you gotta understand. So people say, "Oh yeah, we know we are white, we don't like others, but we not believe into this." Listen, you have to show me an encompassing belief system of white supremacy other than this.
Yeah.
Like you cannot tell me that Christianity is a white supremacy belief system. Christianity in America is run by Freemasonry. All right, the Protestant Christianity is run by Freemasonry. And many of their pastors, etc., are just Freemasons.
Yep, 100%.
It's just a fact. So once again, you have an occult elite that has a different system for the dumbed down masses that they don't even believe themselves, and it's just tweaked within what is compatible with the masses in order for them to push their agenda.
Exactly. Crowd psychology.
And bro, the white Jesus, come on, man, please. Please, man, please. This is so ludicrous. It's you wonder how can you even fall for that, dude? Hey, Jesus from Palestine, people were brown to black. They would call brown white.
Yep.
That's how unwhite they were.
Yes. But even the time of Isa alayhi salam, right? There was no such thing as racism anyways, right? The Roman and the Greek empires were trying to
it was tribalism.
Yes, exactly. And they're just trying to expand their breadth and width of their empires, right? And they didn't look at people as races. You know what I mean? They just looked at them as tribes or whatever people, these type of people, these language, whatever. That type of style of Christianity was from Europe, it really started in the 1400s, right? This whitening of Jesus and whatnot, and because that's when they're trying to expand throughout the Ottoman Empire, and whatnot. They started colonization, all this kind of stuff, right? But C.L. Edwards,
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum
What you got for
assalam
us, bro?
wa barakatuh, CL.
You guys cooking with grease, hot grease. Now I was gonna. I pointed out in the chat that Kiss is Jewish, and someone pointed out Gene Simmons.
Yeah,
who's I guess the leader of Kiss. He is a Jewish man.
Yep.
That's very interesting that they have that symbolism on their icon.
Well, you see, CL, it's good you remind me of this. I mean, I've pointed out that von Zebottendorf, he was initiated into Freemasonry through a Jew. And there is a lot of kalam about his connections to Jews in Turkey, and all these Jews were part of esoteric societies. And there's a lot of historians that are raising the question about, was Hitler actually a pawn? Was this whole Nazi project a pawn of an outside elite that manipulated the Germans through Zebottendorf and others into doing what they did for a completely different agenda? That is a question that a number of historians are raising, and there is just no clear answer to it, because everything is so shrouded in secrecy and mystery.
Mike, what you got for us, man?
I was wondering, you guys mentioned Atlantis earlier. Have you ever heard of Pyresi's map?
I have not memorized the names of those maps, but I have heard about old maps that are very different from Google Maps today.
Yeah, he was.
So you have, amongst other things, Thule. You have Atlantis. You have, you have a completely different configuration of the North Pole, and you have a number of esoteric beliefs that are connected to those maps, like the North Pole being this whirlpool that is absorbing water and then throwing it out again, and you have these 4 islands around the North Pole, and this creates the high and low tide, etc. So I heard about these maps, but I don't know which one you're talking about exactly now.
I think he was an Ottoman admiral who drew the map. It was a center pointillism map or something in like the 14th or 15th century, but it was more Antarctica, and it actually showed the landmass of Antarctica. And they say the landmass has been under ice for like 10,000 years. So how would anyone know where the actual land was? And when they discovered it, I think they were remodeling, maybe it was the Sophia Hagia or something in Turkey, and they found this in the wall or something. And so the U.S. NASA and guys have mapped it out and said it's pretty accurate to the landmass of Antarctica underneath the ice. So there's a whole debate of how would anyone know what the landmass under the ice was if the ice has been there for 15 or 10,000 years. And so there's some debate that that's the lost islands of Antarctica that they were seafarers and went out, and that the Ottomans would have access to the libraries in Alexandria, from Alexander's time, and it got passed down and passed down and passed down and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. My dad's a big kind of anti-global warming guy, and he brings that up all the time, that we don't actually know as much as we claim to know about what the climate is.
I mean, yeah, that I believe that as well.
I think it's PIRI space REIS or REUS. Pyresis. If you want to Google Pyresis map, it's pretty interesting.
Right.
All right, brother CL, go ahead. You had some other questions there?
Yeah, I think your connection dropped out for a second.
I think we're good. Press number one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Right, but if you can hear me there, CL, you're good too. You can go ahead and ask your question. Maybe your connection dropped out. It looks like your connection is lost.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I think it's your connection. It is your connection. Your connection is like a little.
You mentioned the hood.
Yep. Yeah, we lost him. It was his connection.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say as well to Mike, there was a whole industry behind around that time in the 1400s. I would say like during the peak of the expansion of the Islamic Empire, and a whole industry was made of treasure hunting, right? Because when the Islamic Empire was expanding, they were discovering all this kind of stuff, right? So they would discover maps, as you mentioned, in Turkey, in Africa, in Iraq, Iran, these type of things, right? And so people would kind of like go explore and try to find these treasures or whatever from the maps that they found and whatnot. And Ibn Khaldun, he mentioned this in his book, actually, right? Al-Muqaddimah, right? Where he said that one of the ways to make money is to do treasure hunting, right? With these maps, right? And as well, and we know this anyways because Europeans, they did this in Africa anyways, particularly Egypt, with the pyramids and whatnot, and and of course, they have all these museums all over the world, right? From the treasures from throughout the world as well, right? So, but yeah, go ahead.
Did you say Ibn?
What's that?
Did you say Ibn Khaldun?
Ibn Khaldun.
Ibn Khaldun.
Ibn Khaldun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing because I just came across a quote from him like 2 days ago that said Islam is obliged to bring all the nations under its power. The Tunisian you're talking about, like he was born in like 1333 or something.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
He when the Caliphate of Timur was sacking.
Ibn Khaldun. He's very famous.
He was lowered over. Yeah, he's a Tunisian. He's very famous. He was lowered over the walls of the citadel to talk to Timur, who gave him safe passage back to Egypt and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
CL, you're back.
Yeah, I think I may have had a bad connection or something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say you were mentioning the hoods that the KKK wear on their traditional uniforms. That actually comes from Spain, from the Roman Catholics. They have there's a particular sect. They have a festival every year, and they put those outfits on. It's the same exact outfit. That's where they got it from. And they have they have like a parade going down the streets, and they carry like statues of Mary and whatnot. That was one thing. And number two, I was going to ask Abdullah, do you know of any what would be the connection with as far as these secret societies in Germany and Nazism, blah blah blah, with Lutheranism and Martin Luther in the Reformation?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question. You see, as far as I can observe, I have not really read in detail about these kind of issues, but from what I have observed is that the Catholic Church was a very oppressive superpower, suprapower. It was above every nation state of Europe. It had really, infiltrated every other kingdom through its religious authority, and as such, it was a threat on a political level. And the Lutheranism, how motivated is it really by religion vs politics? Like, is this breakaway, was it really strictly motivated by religious dogma and opposing the religious dogma of the Catholic Church, or is there a political agenda behind it to counter the foundation of the Catholic Church influence by attacking their religious dogma? And we see that the embracing of England, of Protestantism, is something which is politically motivated.
I agree.
It has something to do with the king being or wanting to break away, supposedly because of this marriage issue, break away from the Roman Church and just do his own thing. So, I'm the king here. Why should I not also have the religious power here? And so there is this apparent religious front to the thing, but then there is this political agenda behind it that we don't necessarily see. Now, as far as I was reading, or as far as I have been reading on this particular topic, I haven't found any mention of the Lutheranism movement, except that these guys here believe that the Christianity as a whole is an enemy force that came from the Middle East to overtake the Aryo-Germanic heritage and destroy it. So they view Christianity as an enemy force, full stop. But now, I've not read any distinction between the Lutheranism movement or the Catholic Church. Is there a specific reason why you're asking, CL?
CL, you still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
He was asking, is there a specific reason you're asking?
Yeah, because I was saying Martin Luther, in his writings, he had a lot to say about the Jews. He was a very anti-Semitic, as they call it, and he made a lot of statements about the Jews. Also, there's a theory that conversos from Spain, when they were put out of Spain, went into other parts of Europe, and they helped to foment like almost an anti-pope movement that ended up becoming the Reformation. I found that very interesting. There's a book. There's a book written about that, about the conversos and Morescos in Europe, in the UK, and other parts of Europe. So, go ahead.
I mean, I've anti-Semitism was part of the European fabric, it seems, and the Jews, however, lived in Europe, but anti-Semitism was a thing. The apparent reasons for anti-Semitism, just like in our case right here, the Nazi Party and whatever preceded Nazi Party, from the propaganda aspect, it was always blaming the Jews for having
killed Jesus,
taken over certain elements of society and having caused trouble to other people through their business practices and banking practices, etc. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is that the real reason behind anti-Semitism, or is that just what is served to the masses? And there is actually an esoteric reason behind anti-Semitism. is there something about the fact that they are Bani Israel that other, factions from an esoteric background dislike and fight them because of that, and this whole economical aspect of Jewish activity is just pushed forward as a reason to get the masses to hate the Jews? That's really something that's a question I would like to find the answer of.
Moahid, go ahead. Moahid, can you hear us?
Still here?
Unmute your mic, Moahid. Maybe he's having connection problems too. Go ahead, CL.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what we were talking about, I've seen, like, in certain documentaries, people saying that because Martin Luther's and the different reformers, their stance against the Jews, that somehow that may have motivated or caused there to be more anti-Semitism centered in Germany. And actually, when you were talking, I thought about a book. There's a book called The Aryan Jesus that talks about the Nazi version of Christianity, where they reimagine Jesus being an Aryan. In
von Liebenfels, he was speaking about that. He was speaking about, he has reinterpreted the Bible in an esoteric way, and he was talking about exactly what you have mentioned right now, that there is this Aryan Jesus that was fighting the apelings, and from there you get all the interpretations of what was the Knight Templars really about, and the dream that he had, and his uncovering of this Knight Templar's tombstone, and finding this image of the Aryan knights killing the apeling. So that was definitely a thing, but not through Lutheranism, through Liebenfels, who had his Novo Templi Ordi, secret society, and his publishing works through Ostara magazine and others.
Yeah, but the book Aryan Jesus, I think the full title is I looked it up. It's Christian Theologians and the Bible in Nazi Germany. It does specifically say that German Protestant theologians helped with crafting this, like reworking this Nazi style of reinterpretation of Christianity. And the dominant form of Protestantism in Germany would have been Martin Luther's brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm unaware of it. I'm absolutely unaware of it. Yeah, so I can't really say.
Go ahead, Mike. You had another question.
Oh, not really. I thought it was interesting. I guess you guys were talking about the Illuminati earlier. I was kind of in and out during your conversations. I actually, strange story, was sitting next to this old queer at a bar one time and claimed to be the last American Rothschild. But do you guys think, like, my understanding was under the Napoleonic Wars, the Rothschild guy had like 4 sons, and he sent them out from Berlin and Paris and London, and they spied, and they somehow had like the Dutch royal crown jewels under their control, and they leveraged it against, and then their spies told them Napoleon was going to lose at Waterloo, and they've been leveraging every war since then. Do you think like the Rothschilds like control international trade and stuff?
Well, look, secret societies are not. It's not an oligarchic model. You have a lot of secret societies all over the place, and to one extent they're sharing the cake, and to one extent they're at each other's throat. Now, as far as the Illuminati is concerned, like we were talking about the original ones, which are the Bavarian Illuminati, which was a secret society in the 18th century, if I'm not mistaken. And they were banned at some stage, and the government was coming after them, so they disappeared. So this is a theme with secret societies. We never know when they appeared, and we just know that at some stage we're looking for them and they're gone, but we don't know what happened. Have they shaped? Have they disappeared? Have they spread? Have they moved? We just don't know, because everything is so shrouded in secrecy and mystery that it becomes very hard to really know who is who and who does what in that particular world. But what I think is important is that us commoners, we should be beyond skeptical when we are getting information that is coming from above. The guys that are managing our societies, and this brings me back to what you were talking about last time, Mike, when you have the people that wear our clothes and look our look, and that call for the, terrorist attacks, for the jihad in the West, etc., we see that it actually is very close to the skinhead model. You have an alienated youth, an alienated Muslim youth, just like you have an alienated white youth. And you need to manipulate them into doing foolish stuff while keeping your own hands clean. Well, for the white youth, it's going to be neo-Nazism. And for the Muslim youth, across colors, it's going to be this, bizarre neo-Khariji, semi-gangster culture of thugs that are, there was a whole movement in England at some stage. They were robbing banks. They were robbing, money-carrying vans, etc. Dude, from a Sharia perspective,
we had that here too as well. Not here in Canada, but in America, there's a group of them doing the same thing in America. Yep.
And
armored cars.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Mike.
Armored cars and stuff.
They're hitting armored
cars.
Cars.
Exactly. Armored money-carrying cars. Right. And so from a Sharia perspective, there is just no way you can justify that. Mm-hmm. There is just absolutely no way whatsoever. It's not like there is an ambiguous topic that could have been extrapolated to that. No, there isn't. There is no way. But then we see, as I pointed out last time, all our guys that lead our youth to do such things, they're all fat. They don't work. They're well fed. Their houses are heated. They're running around in nice cars. And somehow they get a pass at the airport. Mike, I'm talking for myself. I can tell you that I have anxiety every time I pass a passport check at an airport because of the amount of trouble I have been into. Although online, I'm on record for speaking out against these things and having translated material against that. So how come these guys that openly preach this kind of stuff, they get a free pass at airports? They travel the world and they go all over the place and it's all good, etc. It's the same kind of phenomena where we see that we have an elite manipulating the little ones and be just disposable assets.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Before points of light, before you go through, I just want to mention real quick, because Abdullah mentioned this, is that me myself, I'm on a no-fly list.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm on a no-fly list, and I've been on for a long time. So can't tell me none. Okay. Go ahead. Points of light.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think that's a good point. That is a concerted effort, well designed, scheme of the elite to control the youth. I think like Hitler has a famous quote where he says, "He who owns or controls the youth gains the future." So, I think that's why we see a lot in the past that was, sort of promoted to control the youth. As he said, it's a bunch of old men talking, and they need youth as the muscle to carry out their plans. Either because they're cowards or physically they're not capable to, sort of do their dirty work. So yeah, I think that was a good plan. The other point I wanted to mention, you guys are speaking about like white supremacists and the sort of secret societies. Here in America, one of the most famous and largest, Howard Pike. He was also a degree Mason. He was also a member of the KKK, like the Grand Dragon and the chief judicial officer. Yeah, I thought that was a timely connection that y'all made with that. That's pretty much all I wanted to say.
I didn't know that. I know about Pike.
Yeah,
but
he
I
was
did not
also
know
an
that he
American
was a
general for
clan
the
member.
Southern Army.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I used to be Catholic, right? And I'm not sure how many of y'all were Catholic, right? I don't think a lot of Black Americans. You're Catholic? Europeans, yeah. White folks, yeah, for sure, right? But I have a Caribbean background, so most Caribbeans, they have Catholic backgrounds. Unless you're in Jamaica. Jamaica, you might have like a Protestant background or so, things like this, right? But growing up in the Catholic Church, right? Even when I was younger, we used to see a lot of occult stuff, like just in the church itself, you know, like the body of Christ, the blood of Christ, you know what I mean? Like it, but we didn't know what it was. We're just growing up in the church, right? And when you watched horror movies back in the 80s, right? Mike can attest to this for sure, right? Like a lot of the horror movies in the 80s were heavily referencing blasphemy against the church. They would have like upside down crosses. If you watch The Exorcism, if you watch The Omen, you know, if they would especially The Exorcism. There's a very graphic scene in The Exorcism where the girl, I can't remember her name, but she has a crucifix, right, in her hand, and she's I can't even say it on this live.
We know the scene. We know the scene.
Okay,
Yeah,
you know the
it's all
scene,
good.
right? I can't even say it, but
Imagine.
if you guys don't know, you can just look it up. I can't even say it, man. That happened before I was born. I think the Exorcist came out in 1972 or something. I can't remember, right? But but even if you watch it today, it's like very graphic, right? So
The pea soup scene
again,
where
not the pea soup. No, she has the
there's a-
crucifix in her hand and she's in her bed, and she's doing in an act with the
oh
crucifix.
when the priest is in there, yeah. And she-
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like to me, the Catholic Church seems very occultish itself. Like, what do you think about that, Abdullah?
I mean, you know, as I believe it was in the first live we spoke about this.
Mhm.
If you look at the Vatican,
Mhm.
the thing rolls like a secret society.
Yeah, it does roll like it is a secret. You can say it's a secret society. You
Exactly,
can say that.
to the point
Yeah.
where they have a secret language.
Yeah.
Latin. Who speaks Latin nowadays?
Nobody speaks Latin.
These guys are able to communicate with each other in ways that we can't, we can't understand
You
anything.
understand what they're saying? Yeah.
Who knows what's happening behind closed doors there?
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Yeah.
Because it is such an off-limit zone where you can go and you can visit the yard and you're shown around the buildings and the architect of this one is such and such and the architect is and that's it. Keep it moving. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Sure. It is bizarre that they used to do the mass where the priest wasn't even looking at the people. He had his back to them and he did it in Latin and nobody understood Latin.
Well, I mean, it's alchemy.
Vatican I, they kind of changed that and stuff, but you could almost say the same for Islam, that, how many Muslims know Arabic?
Oh, an awful lot, Mike.
A lot, and plus Arabic's not a dead language. Yeah, anybody can learn Arabic today if they want.
Anybody can learn Latin, but
not anybody can learn Latin, Mike. Is there?
Mike,
where are you going to learn Latin from? You got any Latin schools around where you're from?
Mike.
Sure,
it's an interesting point, Mike, because you see, like us Muslims, we do spread Arabic language.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. You are big on everyone should learn Arabic if you want to be a Muslim.
Exactly.
But
And
which is the opposite of what the Catholic Church did, because the
absolutely.
Catholic,
You see,
the
Mike,
Latin was a scholarly language,
okay,
a language for
it was an
the
elitist
lay
thing.
people.
sure, that may be true, whether or not they want it to spread Latin or not. But
Well, they
still, at the
didn't.
same time, how many Muslims are there?
Around 2 billion.
Okay, how many know Arabic?
All
Well,
Muslims know Arabic to a certain extent.
yeah.
A
It's
good-
look,
a
Mike.
good-
All did you just say all Muslims know Arabic to a certain extent?
Yes,
Yeah, of course.
of course.
Oh, I doubt that.
Based on what? What knowledge do you have?
I talk to Indonesians online. I mean, the Malay.
So you talk to people online?
Yes,
That's your research?
yes.
I don't do research online.
Okay, well that's fine. so how do you know?
I'm pretty confident that
I know because I'm
most of
Muslim.
the Malay people that you speak with online, I'm pretty sure they at least know Al Fatiha to do their prayers. So as he said, they know Arabic to some extent.
There's no doubt they can recite Arabic,
Mike,
but
there's
they might
no
not know what it means.
no
I mean,
comparison.
they're
You
parroting.
think they
There's
don't know
no
what
just
Al Fatiha
comparison
means?
with
Well, hang on a
Latin
second.
and the Arabic
Hang on a
language.
second. I was just attacked for saying, I talk to people online. So how do you know most Muslims know Arabic? If that's what you're
Because
saying.
in
I'm not
order
sure
to
what you're saying.
perform certain rites of Islam, you have to be able to pronounce and understand them in Arabic.
Yeah,
Not
but
just
that's
pronounce.
not
You
knowing
have to.
Arabic.
What was that?
That's like me saying something in the Catholic Church in Latin.
Well, do you know anything? Do you know any
Do you know anything in Catholic Church in Latin?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you know
you know
anything?
any-
Do you know any of the Catholic rites in Latin?
Dominus Verbiscus. I don't remember them anymore, but yeah, once upon a time I did know some Latin.
Okay.
Go-
you
Go
knew
go ahead,
some.
Abdullah. Go ahead, Abdullah. Go ahead.
All right, Mike, look, like what you're saying, there's truth and false to it. Look,
Okay.
unlike the Catholic Church that were holding back the language, they were keeping it as secret language to themselves. And
Right.
scholarism was very limited because there was a system of dumbing down the masses. The masses had to be kept low at cattle level, whereas in Islam, we encourage studies and we set up everything we can within our means to help and facilitate studying. Now,
Okay.
if you go to Indonesia, for example, you will find that an awful lot of Indonesians have actually learned Arabic. And although, like, I have studied Arabic along with Indonesians, I had 2 Indonesian colleagues in my small class, and subhanallah, it's funny because they were extremely hardworking, but because they're naturally quite reserved people, they were very bad at speaking. But understanding, writing, reading, they were way ahead of me. But saying a sentence, it didn't come out because they wouldn't practice in class. They would be very quiet, listen to the teacher, and not really participate. But you have an awful lot of Arabic language learning going on all over the Muslim world, and it's interesting because you see the Tawarik tribe in Africa, in their caravans that were roaming the West African coast. They would have Arabic language teachers with them from their own tribe. And these teachers, as they were roaming these areas, they would hold Arabic language learning seminars, and a lot of people would attend. And the French that colonized that part of the world, they understood the importance of Arabic language for Islam. And so they understood that this was a way to cut Islam at one of its most important roots, which is the root of knowledge. And so they have hunted down all the Arabic language teachers from the Tawarik and killed them. But
I just want to add to what Abdullah is saying right there. Ever since the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, there's always been a system of teaching the masses, right? If you look at it, doesn't make a difference what Islamic empire you're talking about, right? But there's always been this madrasa system starting. I believe it was either the Ambassador or the Ottoman Empire, well, one of the two, right? If you look in, it doesn't make a difference what continent either. The madrasa system was in Africa, it was in Asia, it was in the Middle East, right, where people were being taught the Arabic language for free, okay, all over the world. Up until this day, including on Abdullah Deluxe's his own channel, you can get Arabic lessons. If you want to learn Arabic today, Mike, you can go to Abdullah Deluxe's channel and learn Arabic, right? Can you go to YouTube and learn Latin? This is a strong.
In fact, I mean, for many centuries, it was illegal to do that.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the main difference.
No, I understand Islam wants to spread Arabic. There's no doubt about that. I'm pretty sure there's hadiths where Muhammad said, you know, teach 10 people Arabic and some sins are forgiven or something like that, or you know.
Not really, but
No,
there's no doubt Islam is trying to spread Arabic. And
yeah, so that would be the exact opposite of the Catholic Church, right?
Okay.
oh, sure. I'm not a fan of the Catholic Church. I wasn't trying to defend the Catholic Church in any way.
No, he was trying to make a parallel between Islam and the Catholic Church.
Yeah, that parallel doesn't exist. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit more harsh with Abdullah.
I retract my parallel. I'm not sure what parallel I was making there.
Well, you said it was the same. It was the same that people don't speak Latin. You said, well, it's the same with Muslims, but the majority of Muslims do. A larger majority of Muslims do speak.
I don't think that's what I was saying.
I have a question for Abdullah, though. I have a question for Abdullah. I heard you mention earlier, you know, this connection between some sort of outside force, you know, or sort of goading the Nazis into doing what they were doing. So my question is, we know from history that the Jews had been trying to hands on the land in Palestine, and they was the European nations to do this. Herzl wrote about these sort of things, and then when Hitler did what he did, they access to the land. I mean, would think that they was like,
well,
like
you know,
he was following them. Like this was the goal to get him to do that.
And he was manipulated into it. You see, it seems a bit. It seems to have worked out all too well for it to have been a plan like that, I feel. But again, because we're dealing with a topic that is so covered up, it is so hidden. We really, it's just going to be speculation, unless we find documents that can be proven to be authentic, that would lay out such a scheme. We could, as a matter of fact, affirm it. I think that it's what is more likely, just looking at how the world functions, that we had an intention of creating chaos in order to come up with a new system once the chaos died down due to the vacuum, because the chaos is going to destroy the existing structure, and we'll use the vacuum that will come after this chaos in order to bring up a new structure. And I would assume that for the Zionists, it was more of an opportunistic sort of situation where they seized that opportunity and it boosted their agenda from that aspect. But you know, Allahu A'lam. It's so hard. It's so hard really to connect those dots because everything is blurred.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a double cross somewhere. The other reason why I asked you that, because I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this, but there were actually monarchs in Europe, such as James VI, the British king, James VI. They used to actually claim to be the Israelites. He claimed to be like a descendant of the Israelites, you know, sort of like the Jews. So, you know, I don't know a lot of people are aware of that, but yeah, many of the the nobles or royal Europeans claimed that they were Bani Israel, which we know is not. I don't believe it's true. Anyway, Allah Alam. I don't believe it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they used to do that. Even like Netanyahu and them. Like when you see now, like that's not even their names. Mostly all those Jews, those Khazars that came to Palestine, they all had different names. They changed their names to make it sound more Semitic.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Right? And they know who they are anyways. They know they're like Ashkenazi and Khazars and whatever, and they understand this, right? And that's why even in Israel right now, it's illegal to do DNA tests and all kind of stuff, right? They know who they are. You know what I mean? Right? They know that they're converts and whatnot, and they ended up in Europe and blah. And they have this history in Europe because the Christians used to accuse them of killing Jesus, so they were in the ghettos and whatnot, and that's how they ended up in the banking, right? Because that's how they ended up doing that banking stuff. Go ahead.
By the way, this is why I don't believe all the Dajjal buzz that's going on online right now, for a number of reasons. This being one of them, and it's the fact that Allah tells us in the Quran that it's going to happen with Bani Israel, not El Yahud. Right? And we have other hadith where at the end of times it will be against the Yahud, but this time before the Dajjal, the second CLO, it's just you and me?
No. I was CL was showing a book, so you can continue talking. Yeah, so
I just remembered this book right here, The Invention of the Jewish People by Shlomo Sand. It was a very controversial book written by a Jew. So don't ban me. I didn't write it.
Okay, go ahead. Continue there, Abdullah.
And that's what it is. That's it recently, in reality. Like what's happening right now in Palestine, I think
pardon me, Abdullah. Pardon me.
Tell me.
Could you would you please be so kind to like start over? What was you saying? Allah said what? It's between.
Okay,
pick up from there.
Surah Al-Isra, the beginning of Surah Al-Isra, there is going to be the two major transgressions of the Bani Israel. Okay, the second transgression has not happened yet, but Allah tells you it's Bani Israel, not Yahud. So it's not just any Yahud, it's specifically the Bani Israel. So like somebody's asking here, what Dajjal boss? You've been online for a bit. Congratulations, brother. Stay offline, brother. Congratulations. I mean, really, I salute you, brother. Right now, everybody's saying that, okay, this is, signs of the end, that Dajjal is going to come out because of what is happening in Palestine. I don't think it's the case. Because we know it's going to happen at the hands of Bani Israel. And we know that the Bani Israel that are going to follow the Dajjal, they're coming from Khorasan. They're not in Quds. Khorasan being modern day Iran.
Iran, yep.
One of the Bani Israel reservoirs in this day and age.
Yes, exactly.
And they're gonna wear the tayalisa, which is this white cloth they wear on their head with those blue lines on the edges. All right, so we see it doesn't fit our guys right here. It doesn't fit Zionism.
But having a lot of
brother,
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Bilal.
Assalamu alaikum wa ta'ala wa barakatuh.
What you got for us?
I'm in the stream now, inshallah. I'm in the stream. Alhamdulillah.
Aladdin, what's up?
Here we meet again after 15 minutes, Mike. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I'm not interested in Mike anyway. I'm just here to share something with you. Barakallah fi. I'm done with Mike long time ago. He comes, repeats same questions in all channels. He was banned from Muslim and non-Muslim channels for repeating the same argument always. So anyway, here for one reason, yeah. First of all, I start by saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I love you all for the sake of Allah. We were talking about the Arabic language. ويا أخي أحبك الله ذي أحببتنا من أجله بارك الله فيك. You were talking about the Arabic language.
Yeah.
Some of the people ask, why did Allah reveal the Holy Quran in the Arabic language? Why not in Chinese? Why not in Japanese? Why not in
Mandarin
English?
would have been better. or Spanish.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mike, will you please be quiet? I'm trying to answer
I
something.
thought
here,
you were
please.
asking me. Why not?
You don't
Why
mind.
not another language?
No. I'm trying actually to teach you, so you will not ask the same question again and again and again and again. Okay? So you learn something here, please. Ask to learn, not ask to condemn and have fun, waste time. Allah actually answered you in the Holy Quran. Let the Quran answer you. Let the Quran speak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ibrahim. Brother, am I still in the
Yeah,
stream?
of course. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I just I
Okay,
muted
Jazakallah
the
khair.
mic so that
Allah,
you can have the floor.
Allah يجزيك الجنة. بارك الله فيك. سامحني. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ibrahim, chapter 14, verse 4. وما أرسلنا من رسول إلا بلسان قومه ليبين لهم فيضل الله من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء وهو العزيز الحكيم. Which means, and we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did not send any messenger except speaking in the language of his people to state clearly for them. And Allah sends astray whom he wills and guidance whom he wills. And he is the exalted in might, the wise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we did not send any messenger except speaking in the language of his people to state clearly for them. The Quran was revealed in the Arabic language because Arabic is the means of communication with the people to whom the messenger was sent to. And the call began in their environment before it reaches other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it in Arabic language because Allah said that he sent each and every messenger to each nations in their own tongue. And the tongue of the people around Prophet Muhammad was Arabic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it in the Arabic language. Then after that spread all around the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says also in the Holy Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who خلق اللغات. He's the one who created all languages. All tongues was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you read this in Surah Ar-Rum, chapter 30, verse 22. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And of his signs is the creation of heavens and the earth, and the diversity of your tongues, languages, and colors. Indeed, there are signs in this for the wise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said again in Surah Ibrahim, chapter 14, verse 4, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا بِالرَّسُولٍ, which I mentioned a while ago, that he sent them in their own tongue. So this is the answer for a question in regard of the Arabic language and why was it revealed in the Arabic language. I hope that this answered his misconception. Barakallah fiik ya akhi.
And also, I just wanted to add to that as well, inshallah, that when it comes to the Quran being revealed in Arabic, because this question actually comes up a lot in the Black community, believe it or not. Okay, because there is this movement, this Afrocentric movement, which is trying to discredit the Arabic language and saying that Islam is a religion for the Arabs, right? However, this whole thing with Allah revealing the Quran in Arabic, whatnot, is a part of a prophecy that actually is mentioned. Several prophecies, rather, that are mentioned in the Bible directly, right? And you can look at, for example, when Isa alayhi salam, he said that I'm going to send you a comforter, which is it's a very famous prophecy in the Bible. You can also look at in the book of Exodus, where it's revealed that a prophet will come that is from the brethren of the people of Abraham and whatnot. So, and on top of that, if you look at the Jews in the Arabian Peninsula at that time, right, which is another prophecy in the Bible, a completely separate prophecy. They were settling in a place called Salah. Where is Salah? Do you guys know where Salah is? Sorry, I muted you. Go ahead, Abdullah. Go ahead. Salah.
Outside of Medina. I mean, not outside of Medina. It is in Medina, actually.
Yes, it's Medina.
Yes.
Right? Saleh, yes. Right? So all of these things are mentioned in the Bible directly. Now, of course, we're Muslim. We don't necessarily, give not I won't say credibility. We don't actually believe in the Bible like that. But you can't just like push this to the wayside. These type of things to the wayside, right? So
y'all
you are talking about Hebrew 3:3, brother. Yeah. Salah, the word Salah was mentioned in actually Hebrew 3:3. Al-Quddus min Jabal Faran. Salah. That's this man, this righteous man will come with the Mount of Faran from
Yes.
Salah, which a brother told you about. But I want to pay your attention to something, inshallah. Ya Akhil Kareem. Now, we as a Muslim, according to the Quran and Sunnah, I want Brother Abdullah to share this with me. Brother Abdullah, do we speak about the Asl and the Afro? I mean, when you talk with an atheist, scholar says we have to talk with them about the Asl, not the Afro. I mean, he does not believe in the Creator. So what is the use of talking with him about religion while he does not believe in the source? It's as if you are talking with a person about light on earth, but he does not believe that there is sun. So how could you talk to him about light on earth while he does not believe in the sun? So when you talk with an atheist, you have to talk about the source, the creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he believes that there is a creator and he accepts that, that's the time we go to the Afro. Ulama said, نتحدث عن الأصل وليس الأفرع مع الملحدين. And Mike is an atheist. So whatever you talk to him about religion, it doesn't matter to him because he doesn't believe in the source, which is Allah, the founder, the creator. So we should talk with some person, such person, about the foundation of the creator. There is a creator. When he believes in the creator, that's the time we jump to the religion. But we don't talk about the Afro and forget all about the source. I have that makes sense. What do you think, Brother Abdullah?
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. This stream right here, we're actually not talking about Islam as such. We're talking about white supremacy. But this is where Mike jumped on, and Mike, I'm discovering Mike still. He likes to poke around a bit, and but I agree that the conversation for Mike is not the right one, and really the conversation that should be happening with Mike is first of all, why are you actually here? What are you trying to achieve? And yeah, we need to talk about, if you're an atheist, the conversation should be about the absolute fundamental point that separates us from you and that gives us a different point of view, which is, are we created by a creator or not?
Right. I just want to hop in here as well, because nobody is disagreeing with the brother Aladdin and his assessment of how to make dawah, right? And as Brother Abdullah, he mentioned, the stream itself was not on that topic. The stream itself was on a different topic, and Mike is our guest. Okay. Now the reason, because I see a lot of Muslims, not just Aladdin, but a lot of Muslims are saying, don't deal with Mike, don't deal with Mike. But what you got to understand is that we're converts, right? And converts, the way that converts are is much different than a born Muslim, because we were where Mike is. Most of us, anyways, right? Most of us were haters of Islam. Most of us were people who used to troll Muslim and antagonize Muslims, until eventually we became Muslims. So we have a level of tolerance and patience that a lot of maybe born Muslims, they just don't have. You get me? Now, Mike, does he get on my nerves? Yeah, he gets on my nerves. I'm gonna tell you straight up, Mike, you get on my nerves, bro. Like, straight up, you do, man.
All good.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good because he's still a guest, right? And if I want to kick him out, I can kick him out anytime. I know he understands that, and I think he appreciates the fact that I give him a chance to ask his questions over and over and over again. It's not a big deal because believe me, bro, we used to do the same things. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, okay. Abdullah didn't, but I for sure did. For sure did. I would I was young, but I would be I was coming from the church and whatnot. I'd be terrorizing the Muslims that I knew. You know what I mean? I'd be asking them all kind of crazy questions and whatnot. CL, he left Islam, right? And he became a Christian apologist, right? And he still returned to Islam, right? So these are so you're talking about people who had a disdain for Islam and Allah guided them. It's not for us to to guide the people. We just deliver the message. We deliver the message in Khalas, You know what I mean? So whether Mike accepts it or not, that's his business. But at least, between us and Allah, we've done what we've done. We've shown him manners and hospitality on our channels, and he can't say that we showed him any bad manners. He cannot say that, right? So, and Allah
Jazakallah khair.
Brother, Allah says in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Ankabut, chapter 29, verse 46, ولا تجادلوا أهل الكتاب إلا بالتي هي أحسن إلا الذين ظلموا منهم, which means argue not with the people of the book and in general everybody with a good manners, highly respected way. Now the continuation of the verse, illa means except, so there's an exception here. Except those who do wrongly, who comes always asked to criticize, who comes always to misguide, who comes always to repeat same questions again and again and again and again, who's not so sincere, whose purpose is not to learn. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an exception here. So those people, after you try with them, خلاص, forget about them. You deliver the message for them. So there's an exception here. So if you know that the person is not sincere, he's not here to learn, he's always repeating the same issue, the same claim every now and then, never change his mind. So such person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, give an exception. He called them, they are misguided, they are doing wrongly, they are only here to put misconceptions and to leave. So don't deal with them. That's what Allah says in Surah Al-Ankabut.
I don't see him as putting misconceptions. Look at the questions, type of questions he's asking. Who's going to be misconceived by you know? Well, the Latin is compared to Arabic. Ain't nobody being misconceived by that. I think it's very clear that he's reaching and stretching. People who are intentionally trying to spread doubts are people like what's his face? See who's that guy you had on your channel the other day?
You mean like God Logic?
Yeah, and Muslims are flocking to that guy. Those are the people
exactly.
who need to.
Muslims go to.
That's
Muslims
what
go
Allah's
to him.
commanding you to avoid.
Listen to him.
Yeah, and
Stop.
he's getting rich off of Muslims. Rich, right? People like Sam Shamoon and who else? See how you know
David Wood.
David Wood and
Christian Prince.
Yeah, I don't even have a channel. I should probably get one of these days. But Aladdin, what do you think of what is the
Mike, I got a question for you, Mike.
Verse 8.
Mike.
I will not answer you because I have to talk with you about Allah. When you believe in Allah, that's the time we will answer your question about Quran. So you have to believe in the Creator. So useless for me to answer you while you are not believing of the source of the verse that you are quoting to me. So whatever I will tell you will not accept it because you don't believe in the source. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to me.
But I think if I could throw my own two in, I mean, I think it's all about your interpretation. I think it's all about your interpretation. Like, Allah Alam, if Mike is sincere, we might not feel like that, but when I see him on the Brother Bilal channel, yeah, and say stupid things, but he's not like overly disrespectful. Like he's not overly disrespecting, like overtly. Allah sit with him.
Yeah. A lot of us, we have non-Muslim relatives, and we have to deal with them and socialize with them. And some of our non-Muslim relatives, they actually hate Islam. This is a reality, right? And we have to interact with them, right? So our level of tolerance is not like you guys, because we it's like for us it's like talking to family, except for me because Mike, he's a white man, and but
brother,
my Mike to me he's like a good old boy, man. Forget that crap, man. But I'm still patient with him because he's we have a similar type of history. We understand our history regardless.
And to be honest, from what I know, my limited knowledge of Allah's messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I think his approach will be more clear to Bilal. Rasulullah was very patient with people. Look at what his people used to do.
Yeah, Aladdin, have you never heard the story of the woman who would throw garbage?
No, wait, Mike, wait.
By the way, Mike, this is a weak story. If you go, you see, that's your problem. You copy, you copy paste actually from non-Muslim sources without even searching on it. So you are only making fool of yourself. This story is a weak story that a person throw garbage. Prophet Muhammad was sick. Go to the source. Learn, please learn before you talk about it. And for our brother Francis, Habibi, just let me finish please. Brother Francis, I am like you. I've been living among Will you please, Mike, be quiet? Please, Mike, relax. Mike, relax. I'm talking here. Please don't speak over me. I'm trying to teach you here with love and respect. I'm smiling. You see, big smile even. So just relax and learn, please. Brother Feachaz, Habibi, I am like all of you. I've been living among Christian. My family-in-law, I'm living with them. They're Christian for the past 40 years. I'm living with Catholic, born again, all type of Christians. I am living, I spent my whole life with a Christian since I was 17 years old, 18 years old, and I'm now 60 years old.
Mashallah.
So imagine more than 40 years I'm living.
Mashallah. You're a
Allah
sheikh.
yazik
Mashallah.
lakal jal jannah.
Mashallah.
I'm living with a Christian. My wife is a former Catholic nun who accepted Islam, alhamdulillah. After the will of Allah with us, she was the first to accept Islam, alhamdulillah. You know what I'm saying? So I know what you are talking about because I was living, wallahi. I was living, even though I was not a Christian, I was living the life that you are living as a Christian in my youth, more than you can imagine. I used to celebrate Christmas, go to the church, do everything out of ignorance. So I know where you are coming from, Barakallah fi. And just so you're talking about Sam, Shimon, and those guys, they all know me since 30 years. And brother CL, I told him last time, do you remember me from Baltok and from their show in the past when he was host with Sam and Dave? I used to be one of people talking with them there. But maybe he cannot. Long time, many years back. So yeah, I know how do you feel. I know where you are coming from. I am aware of all this. Barakallah fi, jazakallah khair, habibi. And I love you for the sake of Allah.
Believe me, bro. We love you for the sake of Allah too, Sheikh. Hayakumullah. Okay, we're gonna close it out. Mike, I'm gonna unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Mike, be nice. Okay, you get the first round. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I just want to know if the next time a Muslim is relating the story about the woman throwing garbage on Muhammad, I can tell her it's false. That's a totally fabricated. I know it's not a hadith.
And you see, I didn't say false. You see, you put words in my learn. That's what I'm telling you. Learn. Listen to me. I said it's weak.
Okay.
And some scholars says if weak does not contradict with the Holy Quran, so no harm of using it. So weak, that mean might be correct, might not be correct. But if you are saying false, that is munkar or shad. Munkar shad is different than weak. Now you learn another thing. Right notes, Mike. Right
I'll
notes.
say it is less than 30% right.
Oh gosh, Mike.
I mean, I say
Come
false.
on.
Didn't I
no weak. I
preface
say,
this being like good? Didn't I preface that already?
I'll just
Mike,
say it's most likely not true.
Okay, Mike. Anything else?
No.
Okay,
I
thank you.
thought that was one of the better stories of Muhammad. I always liked that. It showed
Yes,
great
it's a
patience
beautiful
with him.
story, mashallah, mashallah. It's a
But,
beautiful story.
anyway.
It's a beautiful story. But a lot of the Prophet ﷺ, his arch enemies became Muslims, like very arch.
Sure, Abu Saifa or whatever that guy was.
Sure, I don't know who that is, but okay. Ikrama is one of
S-A-Y, something. I
Hind
can't
is
speak
one of
Arabic.
them. All right, but that's neither here nor there, Mike. I mean, and even this stream is really not about that. Anyways, we're talking about the occult element of white supremacy.
That's true.
Right, so
Let me just say, white supremacy is bad. Occultism.
okay, thank you.
is bad.
Thank you, Mike. Okay,
Mike, you said a great thing tonight, Mike. You're making progress, Mike. You're making progress.
For your job, gentlemen.
You're
Even
welcome.
Allah
You're welcome. Go ahead, CL. Go ahead,
I was
CL.
just going to say, being patient. You also have to, take into mind, man, the propaganda, the anti-Muslim propaganda that you're exposed to when you grow up and you live in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, you're from day one, from cartoons to movies to what you learn in school, from what you hear people talk about, from the news. Everything is you're just inundated with misinformation and gross prejudice of Muslims and Islam. And it does have an effect on it has an effect on your mind. And then you get into this whole thing with this systematic misinformation and hatred of Islam with the names of the people we just named. This whole entire it's a whole entire industry with millions of dollars behind it. They're big, and the people who are behind it, you see Christian Prince and all these. Those are the lackeys. There's a whole nother group of people you don't even see that
Funding
actually
them.
fund this, and they make the papers and they write the books, and that information trickles down to these guys online, and then it trickles out to guys like Mike and everybody else. So,
and which
yeah,
is
there has to be a
relevant
lot of
to
patience with
what
these people.
Abdullah was talking about this entire 3-part series with the secret societies and whatnot, right? So go ahead, CL.
Exactly.
Continue.
Perfect example.
Continue, CL.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. You know, you have the people in the secret societies and the elites who craft these things, and then it trickles down to, you know, to the lay people and to the ignorant masses in a popular form, you know. And so you people have this stuff in their minds and their hearts, and it does take a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It takes Allah to flip a person's heart for them to be able to wake up and realize this, and realize what the truth is. You know, I mean, there were certain brothers, even when my best friends stopped speaking to me and cursed me and whatnot, there were just certain brothers, 2 brothers in particular, who just didn't give up on me. And if you know, Allahu A'lam, what would have happened if they decided, well, we're not going to deal with CL no more, we're not going to talk to him anymore. But they just kept coming. They just kept talking to me. One brother in particular, that brother, you know, he entertained all my crazy ideas. He entertained my wild and crazy speculations and ideas, and he answered them from the Quran and the Sunnah as best as he could. So, you know, patience.
Not to mention, brother CL, the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his father.
Yes.
Right. So his father was given Ibrahim that work, right? and Ibrahim was ready to cut him off, right? And it was Allah who reprimanded Ibrahim, you know, letting him know that his father is the slave of Allah, and you have to deliver the message to your father. Now, did Allah know that Ibrahim's father wasn't going to change and wasn't going to become, you know, upon the religion of Hanifa or whatever? He knew. Of course he knew, right? But he ordered his father to deliver that message. What about, and we did an entire live about this, about the story of Jonah, right? And how, alayhi salam, right? And how Jonah was so frustrated with his people that he left them and he abandoned them, right? We did a whole live about this because this happens so often in the Black community, right? Where you get so frustrated with, because you know, Negro, you know how Negroes are. So, you two might not know how Negroes are. We know how
they're hard-headed
people. we know how they are, right? They are not easy to deal with when they get in their moods, right? So he left them, he abandoned them. And Allah caused the whole fish to swallow him and left him in the fish for 3 days and brought him right back to his people, you know? Right back, you know? So,
and they
ended up believing after that, right? So for us, like, I mean, for me anyway, personally, you know, when I'm dealing with non-Muslims, I always try to be as empathetic as possible on a personal level, right? I try to be as empathetic as possible because you really do not know. You just don't, you know? If Ikramah, the son of Abu Jahl, right, can become Muslim, somebody who fought the Muslims and killed the Muslims, all kind of stuff. If Hind can become Muslim, right? These are people who had a deep hatred, and we're living in a time of the Prophet, and they can't be worse than people like Mike. I'm sorry, I just don't see it, right? So Allahu Alam, right? But Allah will guide who He pleases, and He sets astray who He pleases. It's not for us to decide, right? When you have people who are intentionally hostile to Islam, like a Christian Prince, like God Logic, and then why are Muslims patronizing these folks by going onto their channels and trying to debate them? That's not making sense to me, because Allah commanded you not to talk to those people. Those are the people you don't talk to. Okay.
SubhanAllah. Aki, did you know somebody left a comment on my page? A young brother. He said he goes to God Logic's channel. He thinks some of his arguments sound like they're true, but he doesn't really have a lot of knowledge. He wish he had more knowledge to know that he could refute him. And I told him, why don't you just turn that off and go seek knowledge?
Yeah.
And then you would know who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth.
And see, here's the other thing: knowledge is not supposed to be sought for that purpose. It might be inspire somebody to get knowledge, but that's not the goal of knowledge. The goal of knowledge is to prevent you, to be a barrier between you and the hellfire.
True.
Right? Maybe somebody might be inspired and they see somebody like God, like, okay, I'm going to go seek knowledge if they're sincere, so that I can learn about my religion. Right? But you shouldn't be watching God logic to begin with, because it's haram. It's like Allah commanded you not to listen to these folks.
Not to mention it's a grift.
Yeah, it's a grift. Yeah, it's definitely a grift. But I digress. I talked way too much, Seville. I know it's your turn, so go ahead. I'll let you finish up. And Abdullah's like, Bilal, man. I'm trying to eat my breakfast.
For any Muslims who like to go over there and go to it's literally a grift, and you keep it afloat. When you go call these people and debate with these people, and you're not qualified enough to debate them, and it's their platform, so they already have the advantage because they can mute your mic, they can cut you off, they can kick you out, they do whatever they feel like doing. When you do that, you're literally keeping their platform afloat. You're increasing their views, and you're increasing that Google check, that Google money transfer that goes to their bank. You're literally doing that.
All right, points of light. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say we was talking about the occult and the elites, and sort of how they push this propaganda against Islam to keep people away. And we know they do that because they're afraid, and I'm sure that many of them know Islam is the truth. I'm sure many of them know that. But that's a lot like the elites of Quraysh also. When the prophet came with Tawheed, they didn't want to hear that. Why? Because it was messing up their business, their money, so they didn't want to hear that. So that's one of the reasons why they was against them. They used to sell idols, and people make pilgrimage there, make Hajj there, their Hajj, and they made a lot of money selling idols and this sort of thing. So I think it's something akin to that, today. Also, the other point I wanted to make, you'll see like a lot of the foolish people, as Bilal mentioned, even from our people, they'll say things like, that's an Arab religion. You got speaking in Arabic. They do these things, but Allah tell us that, the shaitan like sort of, inspire or teaches, his allies or whatever, to argue with you. So, that's one of the weak arguments they're gonna make. They got to try to, tug onto, pull on your emotional heartstrings to get you to leave it. That's an Arab religion. Like, why are you following them? And, this sort of thing. Why do you follow your own people? But, it's nothing different. The kuffar used to come and debate with the Muslims about that. But I think we all know the ayah, about, the eating dead meat, right? Animals does not sacrifice, properly. And, the scholars mention that the kuffar used to come to the companions and say, like, Allah permitted you to eat animals that you sacrifice with your own hands, but one that died on his own that he killed, you can't eat it. So, they was making like this wrong kiosk, and some of the Muslims would have to think about it. They used to think about it and go, ask the prophet. So, I think it's the same sort of thing, like they come up with these clever arguments to try to, basically trick you to, leaving the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, these are things they're taught, by their friend, the shaitan or the shayateen, sort of whispering to them. But that's all I got to say. But yeah, Bilal, man, I told you the last time, and I meant that. Like, you kind of inspired me, man. Sometimes I have a quick temper, and then I see how you was dealing with like Mike, and it's like a good reminder, man. We need to have good character. And I say, well, how act Bilal way is probably more closer to how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have acted. So, it's a good reminder, man.
Sheikh Allah.
Can I share something, Akhi, before I go, inshallah? You mentioned those anti-Islam, whom we are aware of, all of them, and you said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid us to join them. Actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says clearly in the Holy Quran twice, in Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6, verse 68, وإذا رأيت الذين يخوضون في آياتنا فأعرض عنهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره, which means, and when you see those who engage in offensive discourse concerning our verses, then turn away from them until they enter into another conversation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse 140, وقد نزل عليكم في الكتاب أن إذا سمعتم آيات الله يكفر بها ويستهزأ بها فلا تقعدوا معهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره إنكم إذا مثلهم إن الله جامع الكافرين والمنافقين إن الله جامع المنافقين والكافرين في جهنم جميعا, which means, and it has already come down to you in the book, the Holy Quran, that when you hear the verses of Allah recited, they denied, they mock Islam, they make ridiculous of them. So do not sit with them until they enter into another conversation. The last part is the most difficult. Indeed, you would then be like them. Indeed, Allah will gather the hypocrites and disbelievers in hell together. So if you will join them out of ignorance, you have no knowledge, while you hear them mocking Allah, you will be one of them, you will be hypocrite, and hypocrites are indeed of hellfire with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said several times in the Holy Quran, it is haram, it's not permissible, it's forbidden to speak about Islam without no knowledge. And when they asked Ibn Baz rahimahullah, I'm sure that you know Ibn Baz. Ibn Baz answered and he said, the word in this is warning. I advise all my brothers in Islam to beware of showing fatwa without knowledge and speaking about Allah and Islam without no knowledge. This is one of the greatest major sins in Islam. Therefore, a Muslim should not speak about something he does not have sufficient knowledge of, nor about something he does not remember correctly, nor about something he has no knowledge of. Rather, if he speak, he should speak with knowledge. Otherwise, there is no safety in his silence. And he quote verses from the Holy Quran. He quotes Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 36. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, which means, and follow not, O man, say not, speak not, nor do not, or witness not that which you have no knowledge of, and do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Don't speak about things that you have no knowledge about. Allah said again in Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 7, verse 33. وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and saying things about Allah, it's not allowed. The verse says from the beginning, say the things that my Lord has indeed forbidden are, he mentioned what are forbidden things. Then he at the end said, and saying things about Allah of which you have no knowledge. Allah said in Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 22, verse 3 and verse 8, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, and among men there is he who dispute and argue about Allah without no knowledge. Allah said again, lastly in Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse 20, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدَى وَلَا كِتَابٌ مُنِيرٌ, which means, but of people is he who disputes and argue about Allah without knowledge or guidance or enlightenment of a book. So therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid us. It is not allowed. It is haram.
Okay.
It is not permissible to speak without no knowledge. Barakallah fiqh.
First of all, you are a gem, okay? MashaAllah. May Allah reward you and bless you, right? And increase you in your ranks in Jannah. Ameen, right? All of this.
وَإِيَّاكُمْ يَا أَخِي بَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِيكَ.
All of this. Now imagine somebody speaking about Allah without knowledge. That's one thing. What do you say about somebody who's lies and knows that they're lying about Allah? Would you engage in somebody a conversation with somebody like that?
I will correct him, and if he will accept it, alhamdulillah. If not,
no,
alhamdulillah.
We're not talking
but
about
if he keeps lying about
without knowledge, because maybe they don't have the knowledge, right?
If he lies about Allah and he knows that he's lying about, if he knows that,
and on top of that,
top of that, he is in hellfire.
Okay. So what do you say about people like God Logic who intentionally lies? Like and the lies are so outlandish, you know? Like ahad. What does ahad mean in English? Well,
one.
He says it means one of many. And it's a very popular
Ya
clip.
Allah, Ya Allah,
very,
Ya
very popular
Allah,
clip.
Ya Allah.
right?
Yeah.
He's
Let me tell you
trying to
something.
he's
Let
trying
me
to
tell you
allude
something.
that one of ahad means that Allah is one of many, meaning that he's one. So that's why he's saying this, right? He's intentionally lying, but he only gets monetized because who are the ones engaging with him? Is it Christians? No, it's Muslims. that's how he's making his money. You get me? So
let me tell you
all of this
something.
you just
Let me
said,
tell you something.
all of this that you just said right now, what do you have to say about the time that we're living right now when we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Muslims basically paying the rent, the food, and the prostitutes of these men?
Brother, I will ask you a question now. So next time you encounter an ignorant like this guy, by the way, I made a video on my channel about this so-called this guy no knowledge. I used to go there backstage. No, I used to go and he used to keep me 3 hours backstage, and he never allowed me to join his channel to expose his ignorance because he knows me. And you can watch it on my channel dozens of times. Now, when he speak about word ahad, you can answer him only in one verse in the Holy Quran.
No, we don't need
Allah
to answer
SWT
that. What I'm saying is,
no, akhi, for everybody, for everybody. I mean, for everybody's knowledge in the future, inshallah. Just to share this with everybody for the sake of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Yusuf, subhanallah, chapter 12, verse 4, Ya abati inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban wash-shamsa wal-qamara. Ahada is the same word, qul huwallahu ahad. What is the meaning of ahada in the verse ahada ashara?
11.
1 plus 10 is 11. 1 plus 10 is 11. Ahada is 1, 10 is 11. Is 10 is ashar. Combine them together, ahada ashara, that's 11. So this is an evidence for that ahad means 1.
Yes.
You understand? So this verse shut him up.
But my whole discourse is that people like that should never be engaged with. Period. Right? You shouldn't be.
That's what the verses that he quoted. People like this guy y'all talking about. He's the type of person that comes to my mind when he recites those verses.
All those verses you quoted, like we think of him. That's who we.
But you know the problem. You know the problem. Even he should be corrected. Somebody should correct what he says. Somebody should actually, when they make those outlandish statements, somebody should correct it. But the problem with engaging him directly and trying to go back and forth with him is,
that's the problem.
Even if you correct him, what he's going to do is the next time he goes live, he's going to turn around and say the exact same claim as if he never was refuted.
Yeah.
And when you see him act like that, why do you have to go on his show to correct him?
No, you don't have to go on the show to correct him. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
you don't have to go on the show to correct him.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, brother Abdullah, we kept you long enough. I know you want to eat your fool and
Nah, I'm strictly vegetables in the morning, brother. Vegetables and then fried eggs, and then we're good to go, bro. At my age, you can't eat no fool anymore. My health condition, it doesn't work. Anyway, I just wanted to thank everyone, and I wanted to thank you, Bilal, for hosting me and giving me the opportunity to spread what I had to spread over your channel, and be my how to say, just not me talking to myself in front of a camera, but interacting with me and bringing it to life and making it interesting for the audience. Really, what I hope Muslims will carry away from this is, number one, you got to unplug from the propaganda apparatus that is run by people behind shadows that we know nothing about, because that propaganda apparatus is just there to mess up our minds. And number two is that the first part is unplugging. The second part is action. Learn your religion. Invest time in learning your religion and then acting upon what you learn. That's really what it boils down to. And that was it from me. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik, shadu la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. And alhamdulillah, I managed to bring my cat onto your channel, Bilal, which added tremendous value to your channel. It's a good thing.
Well, brother Abdullah, really, we should be thanking you. You did all the work, and all the interest really came from your presence and your hard work. And may Allah reward you and bless you and multiply it for you 1,000,000-fold. And we want to say thanks to everybody who joined us as well. Thanks for everybody who supported the channel. Thanks for all the guests on the panel. I want to say a special shout out to Sister Tika with the $5 super chat. May Allah reward you and bless it for you and multiply it for a millionfold. And brothers, Psych for Press with the $5 super chat. May Allah reward you and bless and multiply it for you a millionfold. And everybody who likes, subscribe, share, may Allah bless you as well. And Mike, you're still annoying as hell, brother. I'm sorry.
All right. I endeavor to annoy all the Muslims as best I can.
Keep an open mind, Mike. Keep an open mind.
All right.
All right. And
Inshallah. We'll see.
Inshallah.
And Salaam Alaikum Rahmatullahi Barakatuh, family, and free the land, beloved, free the land, free the land, free the land, and we will see you later.
Thank you for your adab.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Y'all have a good one.
You too. Take it easy.